Okay, I think we are live. Okay, let me check.
Career in AI, career in ML. There's a better way to figure out your career path in AI and machine learning.
Okay, I'm just checking if we are live. Just a second.
Gives you the answer.
Hey, hello everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you guys can hear me. Okay. All right. I can see that people are joining. Good evening. Good evening, Muskan. All right, let's get started. So, hey everyone, welcome to a lecture series on Introduction to Azure and specifically Introduction to AI in Azure. So, who am I? I am Joban, and specifically Joban Singh. I am a mentor at PW Skills, and I have a total of around 7 years of experience. And prior to this, I was teaching courses on Gen AI, web development. And if you have been with PW before, you might know me from courses on Gen AI. So in today's lecture, we will be covering in detail about AI in Azure, and uh, we will do a lot of exercises, live hands-on demos as well, so that you get end-to-end understanding about how Azure supports as a platform AI concepts. So without further ado, let's get started. And let me share my screen as well. So before I start the lecture, a quick note for you guys. If you can go to the PW Skills website, and I'll show you how to enroll to this course. So if you go to the courses section, and if you see the Introduction to AI course, just a second. Okay, so this is the course, Introduction to AI in Azure. If you click on this, you will see a Enroll Now button here. I have already enrolled, so that's why I'm saying go to the course button. But for you, it might be showing Enroll Now. So if you click here and you enroll on the course, and then you go to the course, and then you can join the WhatsApp community, and you have to join WhatsApp community, and then you can go to the live and start watching this course live. Okay. One important point, if you join the course from the PW Skills website, you will get a certificate after this course is completed. And if you are watching live on YouTube, then you will only be getting the YouTube videos, which will be obviously recorded. But if you want a certificate after the course, please do enroll. And also, after the course is finished, please do provide your feedback in the Rate Your Mentor section so that we can constantly improve ourselves. All right, so this was some of the housekeeping stuff which I wanted to tell you guys. And with this, we are done. Now we can move on to the actual course content and we can get started. So parallelly, if you guys have any doubt, please put it in chat, either on YouTube, either on LMS. I'll be constantly monitoring the chat and answering your questions. Okay. All right. I'll just give you guys a second to enroll and join the WhatsApp community. Okay. Just to check, students, yes, it's a free course. Yes, completely free. You don't have to pay anything. Just you have to enroll on the website, in on PW website, and you have to just enroll, go to the course, join the community channel, and then get started with the introduction to AI in Azure Live. All right. Sure. Let's get started then. Okay. So introduction to AI concepts. First, let's try to understand some of the basic AI concepts and what AI in Azure means. And then only we can jump into the details of how Azure supports different machine learning and deep learning and generative AI tools. Okay, so let's go step by step. First of all, let's focus on what is artificial intelligence. Okay, uh, to be very, very, very specific, software that imitates human capabilities is called artificial intelligence, right? Predicting outcomes and recognizing patterns based on historic data that can be categorized as artificial intelligence as well, or rather, we should say that's machine learning, recognizing abnormal events, making decisions, and taking appropriate actions based on those decisions, right? In interpreting visual input. So, for example, if you have a video feed coming into your car, and then your car is constantly processing that video feed for detecting objects, right? How Tesla does full self-driving, right? It's based on generative AI. And then understanding language and engaging in conversations. So now if we speak about ChatGPT, Gemini, and all these chatbots, right? They are working on understanding natural language, understanding the language, uh, uh, understanding human language in depth, and then engaging with humans in conversations, right? That's the agenda of Chat GPT, Gemini, and tools like that. And then the last is extracting information from sources to gain knowledge. So basically, as a whole, if I summarize what is artificial intelligence, uh, softwares which use data and use data to recognize patterns, and by using that patterns, by recognizing those patterns, can make decisions, can understand humans, can understand complex ideas, and can help and can augment humans in their day-to-day life is called artificial intelligence, right? We human are intelligence by nature, right? Biology have built us in certain way, and now we are trying to create software which is intelligent in an artificial way, right? That's what artificial intelligence means. Okay. All right. Again, like just to give a visual representation of what artificial intelligence means and what are the different facets or different types of artificial intelligence we have. Number one, generative AI, definitely, which is the most latest one. And then we have agents and automation. Like based on generative AI, we create automated agents and which can take autonomous decisions like full self-driving of car, etc. Then we have natural language processing. Basically, now you might have seen that more and more customer chatbots have been replaced by AI assistants, right? Humans are getting like slightly replaced in the area of chatbots and customer care helplines, right? So that's a big area where artificial intelligence is booming, right? Then is computer vision, obviously. Self-driving is computer vision. Computer vision means providing vision capabilities to computer is what computer vision means, right? That is also part of artificial intelligence. Then we have information extraction. Information extraction, like as the name suggests, you give huge amounts of data to AI, and AI has the capability to extract the information out of it, right? And the base layer of all of this is powered by machine learning in some way or another. We will discuss where machine learning comes into picture. Okay. Uh, Again, I'll go slowly, but if there are any doubts, you can keep on putting doubts in chat, in live chat, or wherever you are watching this, and I'll stop within like every 10-15 minutes. I'll stop and take questions. Okay. Till now, I don't see any questions which are relevant or which are. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's move next then. Okay. Before we go further into the course, we need to understand some principles which are very important while we use AI or while we learn AI or while we build AI products, right? Uh, some of those concepts are fairness. Okay. What is the risk or challenge in this fairness domain is biases can affect results. Okay. What does that mean? Uh, Very basic example, humans are biased. Okay, we humans have our own life experiences. Every human has their own life experience. So every human in a way is biased. And the data which is used to train these models is generated by humans, right? All of the data which has been used till date to train this model has been generated by humans on the internet, right? So if humans are biased, the data generated by those humans will also be biased, right? And if the data is biased, the models or the uh, artificially intelligent system which we will make out of those data will also be biased, right? So the bias flows through the entire life cycle of the AI, and that we need to avoid, right? Because biases leads to discrimination, right? And that we want to avoid in all at all cost. For example, can be a loan approval model, like in a bank. Let's say there is a bank which is using a AI model to decide whether to approve a home loan or to reject a home loan. Then, if that model is biased towards a certain group of people and it discriminates towards a certain gender or due to the bias in the data, then that specific group will be marginalized and they will never get the um, uh, loan, right? And so that is unacceptable. So these kind of things we need to be very careful with while um, working on AI products in general. Next is reliability and safety. Errors may cause harm. Although artificial intelligence system have been very good in recent years. They have become very efficient, they have become very accurate, and they are intelligent enough to figure out where they are making mistakes. But still, there are areas where errors are made by AI systems, and those errors can be very harmful, right? For example, autonomous vehicle like a Tesla or any other vehicle which has full self-driving can make mistakes, and they still make mistake, and that can be catastrophic in a it can lead to a collision or something like that, right? Some accident. So there, reliability and safety is also in question, and people are working on it. They want to improve it, but still there is scope, right? The next is privacy and security. So private data could be exposed. So a medical diagnostic agent which is trained using sensitive patient data, which is stored in securely. So now privacy and safety is also a big concern in AI systems, where AI systems are heavily reliant on data, right? They are very hungry on data. They want data to be trained on. They want data to improve, and at times, there are cases where the data which is used is very sensitive, right? It's very private. For example, healthcare data, right? A patient's data is very private, right? Obviously, you as a patient will not like to share your personal data with anyone else, right? Similarly, banking data is very private, right? You don't want to share your banking details with anyone, right? But when you train AI models, there is a risk of leaking this potentially private data out to the world, right? That's a big risk which has to be taken into consideration. All right. Next we have is inclusiveness. What does inclusiveness means? Solution may not work for everyone. So AI solutions which we create, AI systems which we will create, may work for majority of the people, but they will not work for all of them, right? The people are of various kinds, various color, various gender, right? So it's very important that you make systems which are inclusive. right? They understand differences in people, right? For example, a predictive app provides no audio output for visually impaired users. So some users have special needs, right? So your AI systems has to consider those needs also. Second last is transparency. Users must trust a complex system. An AI-based financial tool makes investment recommendation, and what are they based on? So basically, transparency is another very important aspect of AI. So, for example, let's say you are making some financial, your AI system is giving a financial advice to someone, right? Now, the person who is taking the advice should be confident enough to accept the advice, and they will only accept the advice if you are transparent that because of these reason I'm giving you this advice, right? So the transparency has to be there, otherwise people will lose trust, right? Next is accountability. Who is liable for AI driven decisions, right? So an innocent person is convicted of a crime based on evidence from facial recognition. Who is responsible? So a very common example which I can give is that, let's say a city has started surveillance cameras where they record faces of people and they use that system to police the city, right? And if the system makes a false recommendation that this person made some like did something wrong, but in reality he or she did not, right? So who is responsible in that case, right? We need to be very careful who is accountable in those kind of situations. Okay, so to summarize, these are some of the principles which we should keep in mind while developing AI systems. We should be fair, our system should be safe, our system should be private, our system should be secure, our system should be inclusive, and our system should be transparent, and we need to define who is accountable when something goes wrong. Right? So all these are principles we need to take care before developing any AI system. Okay, moving further. Now let's get started with Azure AI services. Okay. So first of all, what is Azure? Right. Let's try to understand first that. So Microsoft Azure is a cloud platform which provides scalable and reliable solutions. And those solutions are data storage, compute services, right? So Azure is Microsoft's cloud offering, and it provides you the ability to create resources in cloud. If you don't know what is cloud, you just think of it as a data center somewhere else in the world where you can rent out some of the machines, right? You can rent out a server, you can rent out storage, you can rent out services, right? So that's what is cloud. And Microsoft Azure is the Microsoft's offering. There are other cloud platforms as well, similar to Microsoft Azure, like AWS, GCP, and many more are there, right? Uh, no, Aryan. Azure is not same as Google Drive. Google Drive is just a storage solution provided by Google, right? Similar to that, Azure also has a storage solution, but Azure is much more than that, right? You can create your own virtual machines inside Azure. You can create, literally, you can create PCs inside the Azure and start using them, right? So Azure provides much more than that, okay? And some of the basic concepts in Azure is like you can uh, create subscriptions, and under subscriptions you can create a resource groups, and under resource groups you can create resources, and then that resource can be anything, as I explained. It can be a data storage, it can be a computer in the cloud, it can be a service, it can be an AI service, it can be anything. Yes, you can use a server as well. You can rent out a server and then start hosting your website on Azure. Anything is possible, right? Okay, let's move next. AI services in Azure. एक बार देखते हैं नाउ कि Azure में कौन कौन से AI services अवेलेबल हैं. Okay, AI services at the very top level in Azure is called Azure AI Foundry. ठीक है, एक blanket umbrella term है जो जिसको बोलते हैं Azure AI Foundry. Okay, so everything you want to do related to AI in Azure will start from Azure AI Foundry. Okay, Azure AI Foundry is the product which you will use. I'll give you a live demo also, like how to use Azure AI Foundry and everything. And Azure AI Foundry के अंदर there are certain like products which are built for specific use cases. ठीक है? For example, we have Azure AI Foundry models. We have Azure AI Foundry, so Azure OpenAI in Foundry models. So basically, Azure has its own AI models, and Azure provides you OpenAI's LLM मॉडल्स एज वेल। ठीक है, तो आप आपको अगर जीपीटी मॉडल्स यूज करने हैं वो भी आपको अवेलेबल हैं। आपको कोई और मॉडल यूज करना है, लाइक आपको करना है क्लॉड, आपको कोई जेमिनाई का, जेमिनाई इज नॉट अवेलेबल। अगर आपको क्लॉड करना है, आपको लामा मॉडल यूज करना है, आपको मिस्ट्राल यूज करना है, आपको कोई भी और ओपन सोर्स मॉडल यूज करना है, यू कैन यूज इट ऑन एजर फाउंड्री। Okay, then we have Azure AI Foundry agents as well. Okay, so let's say based on the LLM models, आपको कोई AI agent create करना है which can take decisions and do some certain actions. That is also possible in Azure AI Foundry. Okay, then there are more services which are available in Azure AI Foundry. For example, Azure AI Language, अगर आपको लैंग्वेज स्पेसिफिक कोई टूल बनाना है, आपको अगर लैंग्वेज अंडरस्टैंडिंग करनी है, अगर आपको लैंग्वेज एक्सट्रैक्शन करना है, या कुछ आपको लैंग्वेज के बेस्ड कोई एप्लीकेशन बनाना है, राइट, लाइक टेक्स्ट टू स्पीच, स्पीच टू टेक्स्ट, ऑल ऑफ दैट इज ऑल्सो अवेलेबल। आपको ट्रांसलेशन करना है वो भी अवेलेबल है, राइट। आपको स्पीच जनरेशन करना है, या स्पीच टेक्स्ट को स्पीच में बनाना है, या स्पीच को टेक्स्ट में बनाना है, या स्पीच टू स्पीच बनाना है, सब एवरीथिंग इज अवेलेबल। ओके, देन इफ यू हैव विजन बेस्ड problem, let's say you want to solve some problem which is video based or image based, that is also available in Azure AI Vision, right? Yeah, let's say you want to do face recognition, that is also available in Azure AI Face API। और ऑन द वेरी राइट हैंड साइड आपको अगर इंफॉर्मेशन एक्सट्रैक्शन करना है, फॉर एग्जांपल यू वांट टू read some documents, you want to understand what is inside a document, right? You want to do context understanding, you have to search, you want to make a search engine, like you want to make a search index on different documents, that is also possible in Azure, right? So the possibilities are endless. We'll cover each and every service in much more detail in our upcoming modules, but this is just a one place view of all the services which are available in Azure. Okay, Azure Machine Learning is the base layer which helps and connects to each and every layer above. Azure Machine Learning is one place where you can create every machine learning model you can think of from scratch, and you can train them, you can deploy them, you can fine tune, right? You can distill models. The possibilities are endless. These are very powerful tools, and you can do almost everything on Azure, and specifically Azure AI. All right, there's a question in YouTube chat which says, what's the difference between Azure and cloud? There is no difference. Azure is cloud. Okay, cloud is a concept. Azure is the name. Okay, like for example, car is a concept. Tesla is a car, right? Cloud is a concept. Azure is the actual product. AWS is the actual product. GCP is actual product. Okay, that's the only thing. Think of cloud as a shop where you can go and rent out services। ठीक है, आप शॉप पे जाओ, आप रेंट आउट करो सर्विसेज, ऑनलाइन ई कॉमर्स अमेजोन की तरह, यू कैन गो एंड रेंट आउट सर्विसेज। व्हाट आर दोज सर्विसेज? मैंने पूरा लिस्ट आपके सामने रख दिया है। दिस इज दीज आर द सर्विसेज विच यू कैन रेंट आउट। ओके, you can create your models, you can train your models, you can train your agents, right? You can do machine learning on Azure. You don't have to set up any infrastructure, basically कहने का मतलब है आपको अपने पीसी पे कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है। एवरीथिंग विल बी इन क्लाउड समवेयर एल्स। ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स से आपको कोई मॉडल ट्रेन करना है, और अगर आपको एक जीपीयू चाहिए, ग्राफिकल प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट, राइट, ग्राफिक्स प्रोसेसिंग यूनिट चाहिए, तो या तो आपके पीसी में होना चाहिए वो, तो ही आप यूज कर सकते हो, नहीं तो आप रेंट आउट भी कर सकते हो इन एजर क्लाउड, राइट? दैट्स द, यस, AWS and Azure are two different products. AWS is Amazon Web Service, Azure is Microsoft Azure. These are two different products. Okay. So in summary, we get started with AI concepts. We understood what is AI, what are the common AI workloads, what are the principles of responsible AI. Then we get started with Azure AI services. We started with Microsoft Azure Basics, AI services in Azure, right? These are the things which we have covered till now. Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds if you have any doubt in this module which we have covered till now. Otherwise, we'll move forward. Okay. Himanshu, there is no as such demarcation. Obviously, we are using Azure, so you should also use Azure, right? It will be easier for you. Okay, no questions. Okay, let me just put my laptop on charge. Just 1 second. And I'm back. No, cloud computing is not a prerequisite for this course. We will cover the basics and you can follow along. Also, if you have any doubts, you're feel free to ask. And after the session, you can go back and practice these concepts also. I would recommend you do that because definitely there will be some things which are new to you. So it's better you note them down and then you can discuss later on in next class. Okay. Yes, Aryan, it's free. Yes, Himanshu. Yes, obviously, Muskan. We'll cover that the basics. Okay. Course outcome will be you will be able to understand fully how Azure works and how Azure will support workloads and how to create actual AI applications using Azure. Okay. Okay. Arun, there is no limit. As long as you have the money, you can buy the storage. All right. Let's move now forward. If there are no further questions. Language, Ashutosh, mostly it will be Python. Okay. No prerequisite as such. We will be covering from basics. Aryan, that's not relevant to this course. So maybe we'll cover that later. Okay. I think I've explained the outcome of the course already. Maybe there is a lag in YouTube. So that's why if the question is not answered, you can ask again. Okay, so the next module, let's move to the next module. Next module is related to machine learning in Azure. So we will cover introduction to machine learning concepts first, and then we'll get started with machine learning in Azure. We'll do some hands-on exercise as well. Okay, so let's move forward. So next is introduction to machine learning concepts. First of all, the basics, and the basics are what is machine learning, right? So if we just give it a read, predictive models that encapsulate a relationship between features and labels is called machine learning. Okay. So what does that mean? Right. So features can be thought of as non-characteristics of something. Okay. And label is the thing we want to predict. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ मैं समझाता हूँ. So जैसे कि आप एग्जाम्पल में अगर देखो कि फीचर क्या हो सकते हैं कि डे ऑफ द वीक, मंथ, टेम्परेचर, ह्यूमिडिटी, ऑल सब ये हो सकते हैं फीचर. क्या प्रिडिक्ट करने के लिए कि हाउ मेनी आइसक्रीम्स विल बी सोल्ड दैट डे. ठीक है, अगर आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करनी है, मीनिंग कि एक स्पेसिफिक डे में कितनी आइसक्रीम सोल्ड होंगी. ओके, अगर आपको ये प्रिडिक्ट करना है. ओके, सो इसको प्रिडिक्ट करने के लिए आप इनपुट्स, डेटा इनपुट्स आप क्या क्या लोगे. ठीक है, सो दीज ऑल फीचर्स कैन बी योर डेटा इनपुट्स टू योर मॉडल. Okay, that what is the day of the week, what's the month, what's the temperature, what's the humidity, right? All these can be inputs to your model, and then the output will be the number of ice creams that can be sold that day. The prediction model will predict karega, right, based on the features which you are submitting. Okay, इसको हम मैथमेटिकल फॉर्म में भी रिप्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं, जैसे हम राइट साइड पे कर रहे हैं. सो द मशीन लर्निंग मॉडल कैन बी रिप्रेजेंटेड एज अ फंक्शन. फंक्शन क्या करता है? फंक्शन एफ टेक्स एक्स फीचर्स एज इनपुट, प्रोवाइड्स प्रिडिक्शन विच इज वाई. ठीक है, इसको हम प्रिडिक्शन भी बोल सकते हैं, इसको हम लेबल भी बोल सकते हैं. दिस दिस इज लेबल ऑल्सो एंड प्रिडिक्शन ऑल्सो. Okay. So what is machine learning then? Machine learning is the process of using input features, processing them, and predicting the output. I'll repeat. Machine learning is the process of taking features as input, and providing prediction as output. What are features? Features can be anything which helps your model to do the prediction. It can be day, month, temperature, it can be humidity, it can be anything. Right? This is what is machine learning. Okay. Yes, Arun, you have this presentation already in the description and in the learning materials. Yes, you will get these slides. All right, let's move next. If there is no doubt in what is machine learning. Okay, then the next is types of machine learning. Okay, types of machine learning. So machine learning normally is of two types: supervised and unsupervised machine learning. Okay, so what is unsupervised machine learning? Supervised machine learning is machine learning where training data includes known labels. Okay, and unsupervised machine learning is where labels are not known. ठीक है, क्या मतलब हुआ इसका? So if I come back to this example, ठीक है, come back to this example. ट्रेनिंग के टाइम while training a machine learning model, we give both features as well as labels. I'll repeat. During the training, we provide the model both labels and features so that model can learn the patterns in the data. उसको ये how feature is related to label, ये उसको learn करना है, right? So we give both features and labels to the model so that model can learn how to do the prediction. Okay, so in cases where we know the labels of data, basically दो तरह का डेटा होता है. दो तरह का डेटा होता है. Let's say this is your data table, right? And let's say these columns are your features, right? And this is your last is your label. Let's say फर्स्ट डे पे हमने 10 आइसक्रीम सेल किए, देन हमने 20 किए, देन हमने 30 किए, एंड सो ऑन, राइट? सो दीज आर योर लेबल्स. ठीक है, दिस इज योर ट्रेनिंग डेटा where you are giving both features plus labels, right? Then you will have your data where you will only give features, but you will ask the model to provide the label. लेबल नहीं होगा एंड मॉडल को प्रिडिक्ट करना है लेबल, राइट? मॉडल को प्रिडिक्ट करना है लेबल. सो दिस इज द टेस्ट सेट. दिस इज टेस्ट, जहां पे आप मॉडल की टेस्टिंग करोगे, है ना? सो दिस काइंड ऑफ machine learning where you train the model using both feature and labels is called supervised learning. Okay, so where training data includes non-labels is called supervised learning. Okay, and on the other hand, if training data is unlabeled, अगर मान लो ट्रेनिंग डेटा में भी लेबल नहीं है, देन दैट इज कॉल्ड अनसुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग. ठीक है? ऐसा क्यों बोलते हैं? नेम से पता चल रहा है ना, अगर आप लेबल्स बता रहे हो पहले, तो मॉडल के लिए ईजी है प्रिडिक्ट करना. तो आप मॉडल को सुपरवाइज कर रहे हो. अगर लेबल्स नहीं हैं, देन आप अनसुपरवाइज जा रहे हो. मॉडल को डिफिकल्ट होगा प्रिडिक्ट करने में, है ना? सो इट्स वेरी इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. ओके, इज इट क्लियर एवरीबडी? व्हाट इज सुपरवाइज्ड एंड अनसुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग? Now, further, supervised learning is of two types. One is regression, the other is classification. Okay? Regression is, in the case of regression, the output is a numeric value. Output is a numeric value. In case of classification, output is a category or a class. Okay? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जो हमने आइसक्रीम वाला एग्जाम्पल देखा, दैट इज अ रिग्रेशन प्रॉब्लम. वाई? बिकॉज कितनी आइसक्रीम सोल्ड होंगी एक दिन में, दैट कैन बी एनी नंबर फ्रॉम जीरो टू infinite. It can be anything, right? So that is why if a label is a numeric value, then it will be a regression problem. Okay, if it's when it will be a classification problem, when we assign a label to the output. For example, there are two kinds of classification: binary classification and multi-class classification. Binary classification is 0 1. If your output can either be 0 or 1, that's binary. If your output is always yes or no, that's binary, right? So अगर आपका प्रॉब्लम ऐसा है कि आपके आउटपुट दो ही हो सकते हैं, then it's a binary classification. If your outputs can be many things, let's say 0 to 10 हो सकता है आपका output, then it's a multi-class classification. Okay? These are the two kinds of supervised machine learning methods. On the other hand, unsupervised can do only one, which is clustering. Okay? Clustering of data. देखो, इफ यू थिंक अबाउट इट, अनसुपरवाइज लर्निंग में हमारे पास कुछ सोचने को तो है नहीं, लाइक कुछ प्रिडिक्शन करने के लिए तो है नहीं, राइट? कोई लेबल तो है नहीं हमारे पास कि हम जो जिस पे प्रिडिक्ट करेंगे. तो हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा क्या कर सकते हैं? हम ग्रुप कर सकते हैं डेटा. सो दैट इज वाई वी ग्रुप डेटा इन A, B, C क्लस्टर्स. ओके, दैट इज कॉल्ड क्लस्टरिंग. So similar data will be grouped together. That is what is uh, unsupervised clustering. Okay, everybody is clear? Any doubts till now? Okay, let's move forward then if there are no doubts. Clustering is grouping of data. क्लस्टर बनना ना, गुच्छा बनना, इसको हिंदी में बोलते हैं. Okay, sure. Let's move forward then. Let's quickly understand how the training of the model works, model training and evaluation. So model training and evaluation is very simple. Uh, First, what we do, we take the training data. Okay. On the left hand side, number one step is take the training data, pass it through the algorithm. Okay, pass it through the algorithm, which generalizes the relationship between the xy as a function, and then uh, the actual model is trained. Okay, and the last is we evaluate the model. Okay, and then this evaluated output is sent back to the training data, and then this loop keeps on happening, training loop, till the time we get a proper accuracy of the model. Okay, I'll repeat this again. Okay, two things. Okay, there are two questions. Let me address those questions, then I'll come to this model training again. Okay. So question number one is, what is binary classification and multi-class classification? Binary classification means whenever the output of the model can only have two values, that is called binary classification problem. Okay. For example, if output can only be 0 or 1, or output can only be yes or no, right? अगर ऐसा कोई problem आप solve कर रहे हो, then that problem is classified as binary classification problem. But ऐसे problems भी होते हैं जहाँ पे दो से ज़्यादा categories होती हैं, right? For example, predict the species of the penguin based on the measurement of their height. ठीक है, तो penguin की let's say 10 species हैं, ठीक है, तो आपको 0 से 10 तक नंबर देना होगा बेस्ड ऑन द इनपुट वेरिएबल्स. तो मल्टीपल बकेट्स हैं, राइट? दैट इज कॉल्ड मल्टी क्लास क्लासिफिकेशन. ओके. Okay, labeled data means a data which has predict output will label attached to it, कि for a specific set of features आउटपुट क्या होना चाहिए, उसको बोलते हैं लेबल्ड डेटा. अगर फॉर स्पेसिफिक सेट ऑफ फीचर्स लेबल नहीं है तो उसको अनलेबल्ड बोलते हैं. सिंपल. ओके. एनी अदर डाउट्स? Okay, let's move forward then. Next is model training. Model training says that you have number one step, which is the training data. Okay. So training data is divided into two steps, two parts. One is the actual training data and then a validation data for testing the model. ठीक है, तो दो हिस्सों में डिवाइड करके रखते हैं मेनली हम डेटा को, and then we send that data to the algorithm. Okay, that is step number two. Now this algorithm can be anything. There are multiple types of algorithm. ठीक है. Then after selecting the algorithm, we actually train the model in the step number three. How we do that? We send the data and we get some output. है ना? We get some output. Sorry, here fourth. We get some output. Fourth prediction. And then based on the output, we evaluate the model. कि let's say evaluation मतलब first is correct, second is correct, third is wrong, fourth is wrong. So basically 50% accuracy, right? Which is not good. So we send back this information to the training data and train the model again, right? So this loops keeps on continue till the time we get accuracy up to let's say 90%, 99%. ये loop चलता रहेगा तब तक. ठीक है? That's the training and evaluation loop. Okay. All right. Now let's understand about different model algorithms which we have and how we evaluate models. Okay. First is the regression models or regression algorithms. Regression algorithms are very simple to understand, right? An example is a linear regression model. ठीक है, लीनियर रिग्रेशन मॉडल क्या करता है? इट जस्ट ट्राइज टू फिट अ लाइन, स्ट्रेट लाइन, दैट्स इट. क्या मतलब है इसका? गिवन अ वैल्यू ऑफ एक्स, प्रिडिक्ट वाई. ठीक है, गिवन अ वैल्यू ऑफ एक्स, प्रिडिक्ट वाई. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर मैं यहां पे एक्स दूंगा, ये वैल्यू वैल्यू, ठीक है, तो हमें प्रिडिक्ट करना है कि उसका वाई कहाँ पे होगा. ठीक है, तो वो प्रिडिक्ट कैसे करेंगे? एक स्ट्रेट लाइन यहां से ड्रॉ करो, जहां पे यहाँ पे इंटरसेक्ट कर रहा है, दैट इज द वाई वैल्यू. दैट इज द वाई वैल्यू. वेरी सिंपल, राइट? दैट इज द वाई वैल्यू. These kind of problems are called regression problem, where given x, you predicting y. Now this x can be a single value also, and it can be an array of values like features, जिसको हम बोल रहे थे, right? But the outcome will always be a single number. Okay? And this problem is satisfied by a linear line. That is why इसको बोलते हैं linear regression. Okay? Very basic. Now to evaluate the accuracy of linear regression, we have these four evaluation metrics, which is mean absolute error, mean squared error, root mean squared error, and coefficient of determination. These are the four uh, evaluation metrics which are used. We don't have to go into each one. When we will be using this algorithm, we'll cover whichever is required. Okay. Next come the classification problems. Comes the classification problems. Classification problems also uh, again are of two types, as I explained earlier: binary and multi-class. Right. So binary can be solved by an algorithm which is called logistic regression. It is called logistic regression. Okay. Logistic regression में क्या होता है? Given an input, you need to predict whether the output will be 1 or 0. ठीक है? तो कैसे predict करेंगे? Let's say your x is here. Okay? यहां से straight line draw करो, जहां पे intersect हो रहा है वहां पे बता दो कि ये क्या है. This is 1 or 0. This is 1. अगर आपका x यहां पे है, then it's intersecting at 0, so this will be 0. Very simple. Okay? This is for binary classification. Keep in mind. For binary classification, we have accuracy, recall, precision, and F1 score. These are the major evaluation metrics, but accuracy is the most used. And in this one, mean absolute error is the most used. Okay? Then the last is clustering. Last is clustering. The most common example of clustering algorithm is k-means clustering. Okay, k-means. What does this mean? Let's say if you see here the example, this is one cluster, this is cluster A, this is second cluster, cluster B, this is third cluster, cluster C. And every cluster has a center. So this is the center, this is the center, this is the center of this cluster. Now given a point X, okay, given a point X, let's say this is the point X. Okay, which cluster this X point will belong to will be determined by the distance of this X from centers of clusters. ठीक है, तो इस X पॉइंट का यहां से कितना डिस्टेंस है, यहां से कितना डिस्टेंस है, एंड यहां से कितना डिस्टेंस है. ठीक है, सो दिस इज द क्लोजेस्ट वन, तो दिस बिलोंग्स टू ए. ठीक है, समझ में आ गया सबको क्लस्टरिंग कैसे सॉल्व करता है प्रॉब्लम? सो इवैल्यूएशन मेट्रिक फॉर क्लस्टरिंग इज क्लस्टर सेंट्रोइड डिस्टेंस और मीन डिस्टेंस टू सेंट्रोइड. सो हर एक हर एक क्लस्टर का एक सेंट्रोइड होता है, राइट? लाइक ये ट्रायंगल बन रहा है, ट्रायंगल का सेंट्रोइड होता है, राइट? तो उसके बेसिस पे ये स्कोर्स कैलकुलेट होते हैं। ओके, we don't have to go into the details, like it's not much used, but just to give you some idea. All right, I hope till now we are clear. If there are any doubts, let us know. um, I'll wait here for a minute for any doubts. Okay. Correct, that's a good point. Yes, in some sense you are correct, Rahul, that quick delivery apps like Zepto, Swiggy, they can use clustering to figure out which is the closest, like dark store, right? In their terminology dark store बोलते हैं ना उसको, कि closest dark store क्या है, उसको पूरे एरिया को grids में divide करके then they can do it. Are in which specific term, meaning of what? Sarath, a silhouette score is a score to measure the accuracy of a clustering algorithm. Okay, कितना एक्यूरेट है आपका मॉडल, उसको काउंट करने के लिए सिलुएट स्कोर यूज करते हैं। अच्छा, ओके। सो आर इन क्लस्टरिंग, जस्ट थिंक ऑफ इट इन दिस वे, आपको रॉ डेटा दिया गया है जिसमें आपके पास बहुत सारे एक्स पॉइंट्स हैं, एक्स वाई पॉइंट्स हैं। आप क्या कर रहे हो, उनको प्रोसेस कर रहे हो, ठीक है? प्रोसेस करके आप उससे क्या पता लगा सकते हो? आप यही पता लगा सकते हो कि कौन सा क्लस्टर कहाँ है, ठीक है? आप कुछ प्रिडिक्ट नहीं कर सकते, राइट? आपको सिर्फ क्लस हाँ, करेक्ट, इट्स अ सिंपली अ ग्राफ रिप्रेजेंटेशन काइंड ऑफ। But that doesn't mean this is not useful. This is very useful. So the question can be given a x point, to which cluster this x belongs, right? So that question is very important, and it has real world use cases also. Okay, classification is very simple. Classification can be, so basically the y values. So in binary classification, y can only have two values, 0 and 1, है ना? तो ये हमारा जो है, दिस इज द मॉडल लाइन विच द मॉडल हैज प्रिडिक्टेड। ठीक है, तो मॉडल क्या बोल रहा है कि गिवन एक्स वैल्यू, ठीक है, आप देखो कि वो इस लाइन को कहाँ पे इंटरसेक्ट कर रहा है। ये मॉडल बोल रहा है कि मेरे को एक्स की वैल्यू दो, मैं आपको बताता हूँ वाई की वैल्यू क्या होगी बेस्ड ऑन दिस लाइन। तो मैंने बोला ये है एक्स, मेरे को बताओ वाई क्या होगा। तो उसने बोला कि यहाँ से सीधी लाइन खींचो, जहाँ पे ये लाइन इंटरसेक्ट करेगी वो वाई का वैल्यू है। तो ये कहाँ पे करेगी इंटरसेक्ट, वन पे, तो वन इज द वैल्यू ऑफ वाई। ठीक है, फिर मैंने बोला मैं यहाँ पे एक्स देता हूँ, तो मॉडल बोल रहा है कि भाई ये जीरो वाली लाइन पे कट कर रहा है, तो वाई इज जीरो हेयर। ठीक है, सो दैट इज व्हाट क्लासिफिकेशन इज। राइट? Any doubts now before we move on to the next topic? Okay, let's move next then. Okay, next let's talk about deep learning. Okay, now machine learning we can think of as a process where we have fixed algorithms. ठीक है, मशीन लर्निंग में फिक्स्ड एल्गोरिदम्स हैं, लाइक लॉजिस्टिक रिग्रेशन, राइट, के मीन्स क्लस्टरिंग, लीनियर रिग्रेशन, तो विच आर फिक्स्ड मैथमेटिकल एल्गोरिदम्स। ठीक है, बट होता क्या है कि देर आर सर्टेन सेट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स जहां पे फिक्स्ड एल्गोरिदम काम नहीं करते. ओके, देयर वी हैव टू पिवट टू सम न्यू काइंड ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर. ओके, एंड वहां पे लोगों ने, जो रिसर्चर्स थे, उन्होंने एक नया आर्किटेक्चर डेवलप किया विच इज वेरी सिमिलर टू अ ह्यूमन ब्रेन. Right, in human brains we have neurons, right, and neurons fire in response to some electrochemical stimulus, right, and when fired the signal is passed to the connected neurons, right. ऐसे हमारा brain communicate करता है. Similar to that, researchers created a, from our our brain's neuron, they created a neural network architecture where each neuron is a function that operates when an input is given to it, and it has some weights to it. ठीक है, weights can be anything like, think of it as a function. ठीक है, each neuron is a function which takes some input and gives some output. Okay, now the function is wrapped in an activation function that determines whether to pass the output to the next layer. So basically, uh, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द न्यूरॉन्स एक्टिवेशन फंक्शन, वो एक्टिवेट होगा कि नहीं होगा वो डिपेंड करता है उसके यूज केस पे. ठीक है, बट द मोटा मोटा जो लाइक अंडरस्टैंडिंग आपका ये होना चाहिए कि सिमिलर टू हाउ ह्यूमन ब्रेन वर्क्स, पीपल हैव क्रिएटेड अ न्यूरल नेटवर्क आर्किटेक्चर वेयर दे आर्टिफिशियली क्रिएट अ काइंड ऑफ अ ब्रेन विच टेक्स सम इनपुट एंड गिव्स अ प्रिडिक्शन. ओके, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जो नीचे डायग्राम दिया गया है, जैसे कि आपको अगर मेजरमेंट्स दिए गए हैं of a penguin, right? So measurements can be like X can be like beak length, right? Beak length or flipper length, right? Or this can be like wings length, something like that. ठीक है, तो आपको ये सब दिया गया है as a input, right? This is your neural network. This is your neural network. ठीक है, which takes input. This is input, and ये है each individual neurons. Okay, each individual neurons, and then each neuron is connected to the next layer. ठीक है, ये layer number 1 है, ये layer number 2 है, ये layer number 3 है, and this is the output layer, which is layer number 4. ठीक है, this is input layer. Okay, so from left to right the input flows, and at the end we are predicting what should be the uh, species of the penguin, whether it is like species number 2, species number 1, or species number 3. Right? So in this case, species number 2 has the highest probability of 70%, 0.7. That means it's a second species penguin. Okay. Keep in mind all these predictions add up to 1. Okay, add up to 1. So this is how a deep neural network or a deep learning architecture works. It defines some neurons which are just some functions which take some input and provide some output. Okay, and then there are layers of it, and because there can be, in theory there can be infinite layers. That's why they are called deep neural networks. They are very deep. Okay, any doubts in this slide? Just read it, uh, take a minute, understand it, and let me know if there is any doubt. Okay, if there is no doubt, then next we will do a exercise, quick exercise. Okay, All clear? Any doubts? Okay, let me check if there is any doubt in YouTube chat. Uh, there is a free tier also in Azure. Just try to sign up as a, for students, I think there is a free tier as well available. So you have to sign up for that. Okay. And even if you're not able to sign up, that's fine. We'll explain everything here. And for this course, at least, you will not need any subscription. Mostly, it will be covered in exercises. All right. Then let's move next. Let's cover the exercises. So first exercise which we'll cover is explore the machine learning in Azure specifically. So in this exercise, we will create we'll use a lightweight application. We will train a model, machine learning model, and we'll evaluate a machine learning model. And the goal is to experience the steps which are required to be performed during a training of different kinds of machine learning models. Okay. So first step is to download the data, which you can click here and directly download, or you can go to uh, this website, https ms learn AI data, and download the data. I have already downloaded the data. It's a zip file, so you can extract the zip file. Okay. The next step is we will train a regression model, right? We discussed different kinds of models. We'll train a regression model first. So first, let's start by training a regression model which predicts a numerical value, right? So in this specific module, we will use a data set which is, as we have discussed in example, has historical sales of ice creams. ठीक है, आइसक्रीम कोन इन अ गिवन डे हमारे पास डेटा है, हिस्टोरिकल डेटा बेस्ड ऑन like what is the season, what is the weather, all these features are available, and what is the sale of ice cream that day. Okay, so we have the data set, we will create a model, we'll train the model, and then we'll do the predictions. uh, what is the difference between AI and OpenAI? AI is a concept, OpenAI is a company. That's the difference. Okay, OpenAI is the company which creates ChatGPT. Okay, so let's open this platform, ML Lite. Okay, so this is the platform, which is a simple machine learning model training tool. Okay, so let's come back. Wait for the model ML engine to load, which we've already done. Model engine is loaded. Then the next step is on the model type and data page, select regression and upload ice cream. Okay, so here we need to select regression, not classification, not clustering. We need to select regression. Then here we need to choose the data, right? The ice cream data. So let's click on this and I'll choose the ice cream.csv file and upload it. Okay. So this is the data preview, which we can see here, right? We are showing the first three rows of the data. So what are the different columns? We have date, we have the day of the week, we have the month, we have the temperature, we have rainfall, we have ice cream sold, right? So for these features, जो मैं highlight कर रहा हूँ, for these features, this day 61 ice creams were sold. For the second row, 33 and 34 and so on. Okay, so this is how you interpret the data. वापस चलते हैं. What's the next step? On the training statistics page, set the target column to ice cream sold, deselect the date, and review the training apps and splitting of the data. Very simple. Okay, let's go and perform it. Next. Okay, select the target column. Acha, now what is target column? Target column means which column you want to make the prediction on. ठीक है, आपको prediction किस पे करना है? आपको prediction करना है आइसक्रीम सोल्ड्स पे, राइट? तो आप वो सेलेक्ट करोगे एज टारगेट कॉलम, राइट? एंड ऑल द अदर्स विल बी फीचर कॉलम. फीचर कॉलम मतलब जो इनपुट जाएगा आपके मॉडल को, करेक्ट ना? यहाँ पे आप कुछ डीसेलेक्ट भी कर सकते हो. लेट्स से आपको डेट नहीं चाहिए तो आप यहाँ पे डीसेलेक्ट कर सकते हो डेट, बट लेट्स कीप इट. ओके, the last part is we will select how much data we'll have for training and how much we'll use for testing. ठीक है, normally we use 70% of data for training and 30% for testing. That's the normal behavior which we use everywhere in the world. Okay, mostly in machine learning literature this is the split. 80-20 भी करते हैं, 70-30 भी करते हैं, right? Then after this is selected, let's click next. Now this is the summary of the configuration which we have selected till now. Okay, let's read it quickly and validate if everything is perfect. So model type we have chosen is regression. Number of rows in data we have is 200. Features we have chosen is this. So based on these features, we need to predict the ice cream sold on that day. Uh, Training data split, we have 70% training data and 30% of the data we have kept for testing और वैलिडेशन, कुछ भी बोल सकते हो. क्या मतलब उसका? उस 30% को हम ट्रेनिंग के टाइम यूज नहीं करेंगे, हिडन कर देंगे एंड उसको उस पर टेस्ट करेंगे अपने मॉडल को कि हमारा मॉडल परफॉर्म कैसे कर रहा है. ठीक है, टेस्ट कैसे करेंगे? देखो, उस 30% डेटा के लिए हमारे पास लेबल है, हमें पता है उस दिन कितने सोल्ड हुए थे आइसक्रीम्स, बट हम वो मॉडल को नहीं बताएंगे. मॉडल हमें प्रिडिक्शन देगा, देन हम एक्चुअल जो उस दिन सोल्ड हुए थे आइसक्रीम उससे कंपेयर करके देखेंगे कि ये करेक्ट है कि रॉन्ग है. ठीक है, तो दैट इज व्हाट टेस्टिंग मीन्स हियर. सो दैट इज द एंटायर समरी. And after I press this start training, it will start training the model. So let's click on start training. So if you see now, it is saying training completed successfully. And we can even see what are the details, like started machine learning training completed successfully, metrics calculated are these four, mean squared error, mean absolute error, root mean squared error, and R2, right? Then training is completed. Okay, so training is completed. That's what this is also saying, right? And the next is we can click on the next page and we'll see this training results page. Okay, let's click here. This is the results which we have in our training. So again, regression is the model type. Samples we have 200, right? Features are 5 features. Our mean absolute error is 4.27. Mean squared error is 30. Root mean square error is 5.35 and R2 score is R square. Sorry, 0.9. If you want to visualize the model, this is the visualization, right? So the line here means the perfect prediction line, okay? And these dots are the actual predictions which the model is making, okay na? So if you see here, model is making not perfect prediction, but close enough. Okay. Okay, so from where to download the data? Download the data के लिए मैं आपको link share कर देता हूँ. Don't worry, just a minute. Let me complete this. Okay. All right. So the visualization shows a comparison of the predicted numerical values and the actual numerical values in the test data. A model that predicts well should show a linear trend where predictions and actual values correlate well. Obviously, this is a good trend, right? ये ऊपर जा रहा है. That means it's following that line. That means this is our model is perfectly working. Okay. Then let's test the model. So let's click here and we can test the model here. Okay. We can set any value and then we can make prediction. So prediction is 60. ठीक है, यहाँ पे हम चेंज करके इसको जून करते हैं, right? And make prediction. And we can change this to, let's say rainfall is 90, right? So obviously जब rainfall ज़्यादा होगी उस दिन आइसक्रीम्स कम सोल्ड होंगी, right? If temperature is 59.4, अगर temperature कम कर देते हैं, let's say 44, then obviously और कम हो जाएंगी उस दिन, right? 44, this is in Fahrenheit, so that's why ये कम बता रहा है, right? अगर इसको ही हम 100 कर दें तो और ज़्यादा 144 कर दें तो ऑब्वियसली और ज़्यादा बढ़ेगी, क्योंकि अगर टेम्परेचर ज़्यादा है तो ज़्यादा गर्मी होगी तो ज़्यादा आइसक्रीम बिकेंगी, राइट? सो दैट मीन्स आवर मॉडल इज वर्किंग फाइन। ओके, यहाँ तक सबको समझ में आ गया? कुछ डाउट है? आई विल रिपीट द डेटा प्रोसेसिंग पार्ट जस्ट इन अ सेकेंड, समबडी आस्क्ड दैट। कोई और डाउट है आपको यहाँ पे? एनी डाउट्स? ओके, if not then let's repeat. So somebody asked this question, how to download the data, right? So if you see here, this is the URL. I'll paste the URL in chat also. Okay, if you click on this URL, you will automatically download the dataset. Okay, this is a Microsoft learning platform which is built for learning. So anybody can use this for learning. Okay, you don't need Azure or anything like that. So if you click on this link, you will automatically go to this tool, ML Lite. This is built for students to learn by Microsoft. Okay. All clear? Any doubts? Yeah, I've shared the link in the chat already. Okay, I think I shared it to myself. Let me share it again. I should share it with everyone. Just a second, my bad. First one is the tool link, second one is the data link. Okay, I shared it in chat. Can you verify now? First is the tool link, ML Lite link. Second is, yes. Okay, thank you. Any other doubts? Okay, if no doubt, let's continue. All right, let's move back to the presentation. Exercise we have covered already. Next, we will cover what is Azure Machine Learning. Okay, what is Azure Machine Learning? Okay. Yes, Sabha, that's correct. You can simply download the dataset. Then by using ML Lite, you can train the model and see the results and test the model as well. That's correct. Okay, let me share the link in the chat as well, in YouTube chat. HTTPS slash slash what is the name? AKA dot ms slash mslearn. Okay, let me, okay, just a second. Let me join the YouTube live and then I can share. Just a second. Or you can type this link actually. This is faster. This is the link. ओके, सबने टाइप कर लिया? Okay, then let's move on to the what is Azure Machine Learning. So Azure Machine Learning is a cloud-based platform for machine learning, right? Very simple. Azure Machine Learning Studio is a user interface for accessing machine learning capabilities in Azure. Machine learning models trained with Azure Machine Learning can be published as services and consumed by applications. So basically, whatever you can think of in the domain of machine learning can be done in Azure Machine Learning Studio. And you can train model, you can test model, you can deploy model, you can create applications out of models, you can deploy applications from Azure ML Studio. So everything, the complete machine learning lifecycle you can maintain from Azure Machine Learning Studio. Okay. Aryan, what's the difference between AI and OpenAI? I'll explain. Like AI is the concept, artificial intelligence. OpenAI is a company which owns ChatGPT and GPT models. Okay, so that is the difference, right? AGI is a different. AGI means artificial general intelligence. Basically, intelligence which is general and can do anything, right? That's the idea. Okay. Next is what is automated machine learning? AI is only a concept and OpenAI is a company. That's correct, right? That's what I have been explaining. AI is not different from AGI. That's correct. It's just a marketing term where people say that when AI reaches super intelligence, it will become AGI, right? When super intelligence is achieved, we will call it AGI. It's just a name, right? It's not a difference. Yes, correct, Sabha. Just like cloud is a concept and Azure is a actual cloud by Microsoft. Okay. Any doubts? Any other doubts? Okay. So next topic is what is automated machine learning? So automated machine learning is a step-by-step wizard that helps you run machine learning training jobs inside ML Studio, Machine Learning Studio. Supports multiple machine learning types, including regression, time series, forecasting, classification, computer vision, natural language processing. So you can think of any kind of task. It is supported by Azure Machine Learning Studio, and you can automate the entire pipeline using the automated machine learning uh, wizard, right? With this wizard or like step-by-step menu, right? Which you are seeing in the screenshot. That's called automated ML machine learning wizard. Okay. You can also connect your data. You can define the training job, like how training job will be run. You can run training jobs every day, every hour, every minute, like whatever you want, like which target metric you want to track, how you want to deploy your train model, where you want to deploy your train model, when you want to deploy your train model. Let's say you train your model every hour, right? And you want to deploy your model every day, right? So there can be multiple combinations. So everything can be satisfied from automated machine learning wizard in Azure Machine Learning Studio. Okay. All right. Next is exercise, but I think we are already halfway through. So let's take a break. Okay. Uh, let's take a break. Maybe we'll be back after 10-15 minutes. Okay. Meanwhile, if there is any doubt, You can just ask in chat. I'll be here to answer the questions. Yes, Vane, you will get all these resources uh, from the session. So whatever we are covering, you'll get the resources. Okay. We'll end around 7. Okay. All right. So let's take a break, and you can read more about automated ML Studio, or you can take a break, like whatever works for you. Let's be back at around 5:40. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, everyone back. Let's get started again. Just a second. Let me join the YouTube live again and then we'll continue. Okay. Right. Let's continue. So let's see an exercise where we will explore this automated machine learning uh, in ML Studio. So let's open up the exercise. Okay. So for this, we need to create a workspace in Azure Machine Learning Studio, or we can also use ML Lab, which is a web-based uh, a lab which is provided by Microsoft to learn for students who don't have access to Azure, right? So let's use the web-based ML Lab. So this is how the ML Lab looks like, all right? So it's currently loading Python scripts and everything to set up the environment, okay? That's the first step. Then we need to create a workspace. Okay, that's the second step. So let's do that. Let's create a workspace and let's name it as, let's say, automated ML pipeline. Okay, let's create it. So now if you see, the workspace is created, right? Okay. Next, we'll click on this and we'll go inside the workspace. Now, workspace has a bunch of options. Let's explore them one by one. Okay. So first option, obviously we need to download the data, which we have already done. If not, you can do it again. Go to this link and download the data. But the data which we'll use will be the same. Okay. So if you have done already, you don't have to do it again. Okay. After that, we will go to the automated machine learning uh, portal, which is this basically. Okay. And then we'll go to the, okay, what is the question? Yeah, I'll discuss that later. Don't worry. Okay, let's continue. So we'll go to this section, automated ML, right? Under authoring, this is a section where we need to go next. So let's click on here. And then we need to create a new automated ML job. First, we created workspace. That is done. You click on workspace. You get inside this automated ML tab. The next step is we need to create an automated ML job. Okay. So assign a job name. So let's first click on it. Okay, job name. So let's name it as ML job 1 only. That's fine. Next is set the task type to regression. Okay, so we'll perform a regression operation again. So let's click go back and go next. And if you see here, task type is there. Correct? Task type will select regression, not classification, regression. Okay. So it is also giving definition of each of the terms. So you can read this also. All right. What is the next step? Next step is create a new tabular data set named ice cream. Okay, so the ice cream data set जो हमने पहले use किया था वही use करेंगे. ठीक है, so let's go here and create a tabular data set and let's name it as ice cream. Okay, then हमें वो CSV फाइल अपलोड भी करनी पड़ेगी दोबारा से जो हमने डाउनलोड की थी, राइट? So let's click on choose file and click on the ice cream.csv, which is part of the zip file. Okay, so if you see now, the same file which we saw earlier is shown here, right? We have date, we have day of week, we have month, we have temperature, we have rainfall, and we have ice cream sold that day. All right? यहाँ तक सबने कर लिया या कोई डाउट है किसी को? Okay, if you want to follow along, I'll share share it in the chat also. Okay. I've shared the link in the chat also. First, create a workspace. After creating the workspace, go inside the workspace. Step 3, inside the workspace, go to automated ML, create a ML job, click on the job, fill the basic details, fill the task type next, and then create a tabular dataset with the icecream.csv file. Everybody clear till now? Yes? Okay, let's create, click create. Now हमने task type बना दिया है, dataset बना दिया है. We'll click on next. Now comes the task setting. Let's read more on this. Okay, task setting. So we need to set first the target column. Okay, first set the target column. Select the target column to ice cream sold. है ना, यही target है हमारा. Then next is set additional configuration settings. Okay, additional configuration settings are there. So let's click on this. यहाँ side से एक window खुला है. We need to select the settings from this side. So let's read more about this. So set the primary metric to the metric you want to use to evaluate the model performance. In this exercise, you use R2 score. Okay. So in this exercise, we'll use R2 score. So if we click on the drop down, you have 3 options. We'll choose R2 score. We'll use R2 score. Then select the model algorithms you want to try or leave them all selected. So we'll leave them all selected. Okay. We'll leave them all selected. So let's click here. Now additional configurations are set. Okay. This number 1. Sorry, we need to save also. So let's click on save. Now the configuration are saved to R2. Okay. Next is feature setting, featureization settings. Use these settings to customize features. So if you want to customize any feature, you can click here and you can select. Okay, if you want to ignore any feature, you can ignore. If you want to normalize, you can normalize. But it's simple, so we'll keep it as it is. Next, what you can do, you can set limits also. So use the limits to end the training job early based on specific criteria. In this exercise, set the following limits. Metric score threshold as 0.9 and experiment timeout as 15 minutes. Okay, so when our model score is more than 90%, we'll stop and timeout अगर 15 मिनट से ज़्यादा लग रहा है तो भी stop कर जाओ, ठीक है? So these are the two limits we'll set here. So metric threshold, we'll keep it as 0.9 and experiment timeout will be 15 minutes. Okay, click on next. Now we need to select the compute, right? Use serverless compute, which is the easiest thing to do. So let's select serverless. That's the only option we have. Next, we'll review everything. So let's review it. Next. So this is the entire summary of whatever we have done till now. We have named a job, which is ML job 1. Task type is regression. Target column is ice cream sold. Compute type is serverless. Primary metric is R2. Algorithms are linear regression, decision tree and lasso regression. Normalization is no, remove no, missing data is remove rows. Like if there is any data which is missing, remove that row. Don't consider it for training. Threshold is 90%, I already explained, and experiment timeout is 50%, 15 minutes, sorry. So after that, we will click on the job, submit the job, and wait for the job to finish. So let's click on here. So job is running. If you see here, job is running and job is completed because our stopped early, our job stopped early because algorithm reached the 99.9% score. Okay, status is completed. Job type is this, created on start name, input data is this, algorithm chosen is linear regression. So you can see what was what algorithm was chosen, what model was chosen, what is the metrics of that model. This is the line which we saw earlier. What is the mean absolute error? What is mean squared error? What is root mean squared error? What is R? Everything is available here, right? What is the logs? Logs, if you read, our job started, our job loaded the data, everything was loaded, original shape was calculated, then we started training, right? And then, sorry, first pre-processing happened, then uh, early stopped because zero point 0.9 is reached, and then we stopped. So these are the actual logs which got printed one by one when our model was training running the job. Okay, so then we'll go to the review the best model. Okay, so now we have trained our model. Let's review which model is the best one. Okay, so when the automated machine learning job has completed, you can review the best model it trained. On the overview tab of the job details page, view the information about the job and the best model summary, right? That is what we are already doing, right? In the overview section, this is the best model summary. Best model is linear regression, right? What we have already done. Next is, now we have trained the model. We have figured out which model is the best model. Next, we will deploy and test the model, right? How to do that? On the model tab, for the best model trained by our automated job, we'll select the deploy model button and deploy it to real-time endpoint. Okay. So if I go into best model, if you see here, there is this deploy button, right? So let's click on this. So it will ask some questions like what should be the name of the endpoint on which we want to deploy. Let's keep it simple only. Let's click on deploy. And if you see, you'll get the prompt model has been deployed successfully. Click on OK and model has been deployed. Okay. So wait for the notification. Deployment is complete. Now let's test the model. Okay. So now you can test your deployed model. We can go to the endpoints page. Okay. So if you see, there is an endpoints page here on the left, bottom left, there is an endpoints page. So let's click on this. Now if you see, we see one endpoint which we just deployed and the endpoint is active also, right? So if we click on this, we can test. Okay. So now, first of all, we see the details of the endpoints, what all details we have. And then we also can test also. Click on test. Here you can test your endpoint. Okay, let's go back. And on the endpoint test phase in the input data set, replace the JSON with this JSON, right? So let's replace it. Let's copy this and go here and replace this. Okay. One thing we need to see here is there is one column which is missing here, which is date, right? So we need to add date column because we trained our model with the date, right? Date, and we need to add date here also in the data section. So let's add 2025 0401. Oh, let's add today's date only, 2026 0404 05, sorry. Okay. Uh, okay, this should be inside actually, inside this array. Okay, let's test this unexpected token. This is unexpected, I think. Okay, this is perfect. Now if you see, we got the response from our model, right? So we said the month is June. So let's say if month is April, the number should go down, right? So let's send it. It went a little up. That's fine. Let's say January, or let's say Feb, or we can say December, or we can say January also, right? So it's working. Okay, now you can consume also, you can download this model and use it with this code as well. Okay, so if you download the model and then you can use it with this code. So if you haven't downloaded model yet, there is a file extension which is uniquely defined for ML models, which is called .pkl. Okay, इसको बोलते हैं pickle format. Pickle. Okay, .pkl. So when you download a model, द मॉडल इज डाउनलोडेड इन .pkl फॉर्मेट। ठीक है, तो अभी हमने मॉडल ट्रेन कर लिया है, अब हम यूज कर सकते हैं इसको इन एनी एनी एप्लीकेशन। आई कैन डाउनलोड द मॉडल और आई कैन यूज द एंड पॉइंट ऑल्सो, बेसिकली ऑनलाइन एंड पॉइंट ऑल्सो, अप टू मी हाउ एवर आई वॉन्ट टू यूज इट। ओके, okay, view the code to consume the model, that we already done. Okay, then we can use the same thing for classification as well, but let's skip this. We'll do the classification in some other exercise. Okay, I'll stop here for a minute if there is any doubt in the at least the regression algorithm. Any doubt? Okay, all clear. Do you want me to repeat anything? Do you want me to share any other details which is not clear? All right, let's continue. Yes, yes, we will share the PDF, don't worry. Okay, so next agenda is introduction to generative AI concepts and getting started with generative AI in Azure. Okay, that's the next step which we will cover. Okay, so first of all, what is a generative AI? Okay, generative AI can be defined in many ways, but the most fundamental way of defining generative AI is that a model which has the capability to generate new content. ठीक है, ऐसा मॉडल जो न्यू कंटेंट जनरेट कर सकता है, इट्स कॉल्ड अ जेनेटिव एआई मॉडल. Okay. Now there can be many things. It can be natural language generation, right? जैसे चैटबॉट बात करते हैं एक दूसरे से. It can be image generation model, right? Image generate करने के लिए. Or it can be a code generation model also, right? Different use cases are there, but one theme is similar in everything, which is generation part, right? You can generate code, you can generate image, you can generate natural language. ठीक है? All clear? That is generative AI. Now let's understand what is a language model. Okay, what is a language model? And keep in mind, this is a very high level view of what is a language model means. Okay, what is the difference between AI and Gen AI? AI is artificial intelligence and Gen AI is part of it. It's a sub part of AI. Okay, generative AI is specifically called for those models which can generate new content. ठीक है, कुछ नया जनरेट करते हैं, टेक्स्ट, कोड, वीडियो, ऑडियो, नया जनरेट करते हैं, उसको जनरेटिव एआई बोलते हैं. ठीक है, ओके. देन व्हाट इज द लैंग्वेज मॉडल्स? Right, language models are basically called transformer models, and transformer is an architecture which has two main components. ठीक है, सिमिलर टू डीप लर्निंग मॉडल्स जैसे हमने देखा था ना, डीप लर्निंग मॉडल्स में न्यूरॉन्स वर द मेन पार्टिसिपेंट्स, है ना? ऐसे ही लैंग्वेज लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल्स में ट्रांसफॉर्मर मॉडल इज द मेन आर्किटेक्चर विच इज फॉलोड. एंड इन ट्रांसफॉर्मर आर्किटेक्चर, एनकोडर एंड डिकोडर इज द टू मेन पार्ट्स. ठीक है, one is encoder, one is decoder. Now what is encoder? Like as the name suggests, it takes training data as input, like this, right? Training data as input, encodes the data into tokens and vectors, ठीक है. पहले क्या करते हैं हम, एक टेक्स्ट लेते हैं, रॉ टेक्स्ट. ओके, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल आई am श्याम. ओके, टेक रॉ टेक्स्ट एंड इसको करेंगे हम टोकनाइज. ठीक है, टोकनाइज समझते हो? आई एम, इसको वर्ड्स में तोड़ दिया हमने, टोकनाइज कर दिया. ठीक है, उसके बाद ईच टोकन इज कन्वर्टेड टू वेक्टर. ठीक है, तो आई विल बिकम अ वेक्टर. लेट्स से 1.2, 3.2 समथिंग. Okay, this is I. Then I am will also become a vector. It can be let's 4.2, 3.1, so on. Okay, then it becomes 5.1, 4.1, so on. Okay, so this first sentence is broken into tokens, then after tokens it is broken into vectors. Okay, and this process of breaking our text into tokens is called tokenization, and the tokens into vectors is called embeddings. ठीक है, it's called embeddings. Okay, so encoder basically encodes text as vectors. ठीक है, so for example अगर डॉग है, डॉग का ये वेक्टर बन गया, कैट का ये बन गया, पपी का ये बन गया, स्केटबोर्ड का ये बन गया, है ना. एंड देन वी टेक दिस encoded information and pass it through a decoder. Okay, a decoder which generates back natural language. ठीक है, तो ये वेक्टर्स इनपुट जाएगा एंड वी विल गेट आउटपुट टेक्स्ट. टेक्स्ट आउटपुट आएगा ऑन द डिकोडर साइड. इनपुट गया टेक्स्ट, आउटपुट गया टेक्स्ट. राइट, दैट इज हाउ अ Gen AI model works. Okay, that is how a Gen AI model works. यहां तक किसी को डाउट है? Otherwise I'll go one step deeper and explain further. All clear? Embedding vectors is nothing but like the process of converting these tokens to vectors is called embeddings. Okay, all right. If all this is clear, then let me share another window. Okay, so I'm sharing a new whiteboard now where I'll explain this in more detail. Okay, so what we discuss that we take text like I am Shyam, right? And we tokenize it. Tokenization is the first step where we tokenize it. I am Shyam. Okay, then we do embedding where I will become 1.1, 2.1, so on. Am becomes 4.1, 3.1, so on. And then Sham becomes some other array. Okay. Then this is called like embeddings. Now, this one thing should be very clear. This vector representation is not random. ये कुछ भी random vectors नहीं है. These have meanings. Okay. For example, इस वेक्टर को, अच्छा फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल व्हाट इज अ वेक्टर? वेक्टर इज समथिंग विच इज स्केलर प्लस डायरेक्शन, है ना. ये हमने छोटी क्लासेस में पढ़ा है. राइट, इट हैज अ मैग्नीट्यूड magnitude and a direction, correct? That is what a vector is. Scalar is just magnitude. When you add direction to a magnitude, it becomes a vector, right? So 2D plane में अगर हम represent करें किसी vector को, okay, let's say this is a vector of dog, okay, with x1, y1 as value, okay. Then let's say this is a vector for cat with x2, y2 value, okay. Then this is a vector for, let's say, king, x3, y3 are its coordinates. Then let's say this is for uh, man, let's say. This is, let's say, x4, y4. Okay. Uh, can you see some similarities? Like, what's the pattern here? What is the pattern? Can you realize what is the pattern here? Can somebody give me what pattern you see here? Can you see what pattern is here? No? Pattern is very easy to understand. Pattern is that related words are closer to each other, unrelated words are far away. Okay, what does that mean? Dog and cat is related to each other, right? Both are animals. So their angle is very small. They are very similar to each other, so they are very nearby. है ना? King and man is similar, right? They are human. That's why they are very close by. But cat and king are not similar, so the angle is very huge. So they are far away, right? Similar, dog and king is also far away, right? So this representation tells us which vectors are nearby each other. So these are not random vectors, they have a meaning. Okay, similar vectors will be close by, different words will be far away. Okay, and this is basically embeddings. And this angle is calculated by a formula which is called cosine similarity. Just read more about it, cosine similarity. You'll understand how it works. छोटी क्लासेस में हमने ये पढ़ रखा है, डॉट प्रोडक्ट वगैरह जो भी पढ़ते थे ना. Just read more about it later. Cross product or dot product, है ना? So it's based on that concept only. Okay. Coming back to the presentation. Let's come back. So why I was explaining all this? Because these representations are not random, right? So if you read this line, embedding vectors encapsulate semantic attributes in multiple dimensions. Semantic मतलब होता है like random नहीं है, इसका कुछ मतलब है, right? It has some grammatical and language में meaning है इसका कुछ, right? So if you see dog and cat and puppy all are nearby, skateboard is far away, right? So that is what, if I zoom in, you will understand this in much more detail. So if you see here, cat, dog, puppy are nearby, skateboard थोड़ा दूर है, right? Because they are not related to each other. So that is how this works. यहाँ पे किसी को डाउट है how LLM works, what is decoder, what is encoder, how encoding happens, how decoding happens, what is embeddings, what is similarity? किसी को डाउट है इसमें? Anyone on YouTube chat? ओके संभावी, आई मेक श्योर आगे से लाइक। ओके। सो एक बार मैं हिंदी में रिपीट कर देता हूँ। हिंदी में बताने का मतलब ये है कि जस्ट फॉर हिंदी स्टूडेंट्स ऑल्सो। तो ट्रेनिंग में क्या करते हैं, ट्रेनिंग में डेटा लेते हैं रॉ, उसको इनकोडर में हम पास करते हैं। एंड इनकोडर में क्या होता है, इनकोडर में रॉ डेटा लेते हैं, उसको टोकनाइज करते हैं। टोकनाइज मतलब उसको तोड़ना छोटे वर्ड्स में। देन उसको वेक्टर फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट करते हैं। और वेक्टर फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट करने की प्रोसेस को बोलते हैं एम्बेडिंग्स। क्या बोलते हैं, एम्बेडिंग्स। ठीक है। देन उन एम्बेडिंग्स को लेते हैं एंड वो पास करते हैं हम डिकोडर में। एंड डिकोडर डिकोड्स दोज एम्बेडिंग्स एंड डिकोड करके हमें आउटपुट प्रोवाइड करता है। ठीक है। तो ऐसे इनपुट से आउटपुट का पूरा साइकिल चलता है। एंड जो मेन चीज यहाँ पे समझने वाली है कि जो वेक्टर्स जनरेट होते हैं वो रैंडम वेक्टर्स नहीं होते। उनका मीनिंग होता है, जो जो वर्ड्स क्लोज, जो वर्ड आपस में मिलते हैं उनके वेक्टर्स आसपास होंगे। जो वर्ड्स आपस में नहीं मिलते हैं उनके वेक्टर्स दूर होंगे। ठीक है। सो दैट इज द समरी ऑफ व्हाट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड टिल नाउ। ठीक है। इन्फरेंसिंग का मतलब होता है कॉलिंग द मॉडल। जब आप जीपीटी को कॉल करते हो, जब आप कोई प्रॉम्प्ट देते हो जीपीटी को, तो आप इन्फ्रेंस कर रहे हो। समझ गए हिमांशु, क्लियर है? इट्स जस्ट अ फैंसी वर्ड ऑफ सेइंग कि आप मॉडल को कॉल कर रहे हो, इन्फ्रेंस करना। ठीक है। लाइक जब आपका मॉडल ट्रेन हो गया उसके बाद आप उसको कॉल करोगे फॉर प्रिडिक्शंस, राइट, फॉर आउटपुट। दैट प्रोसेस इज कॉल्ड इन्फ्रेंस, इन्फ्रेंसिंग। ओके। सो अगेन लाइक समराइज करते हैं। स्टेप वन इज टोकनाइजेशन, है ना? द फर्स्ट स्टेप इन ट्रेनिंग अ ट्रांसफॉर्मर मॉडल इज टू डिकम्पोज द ट्रेनिंग टेक्स्ट इनटू टोकन्स। राइट, एग्जांपल अगर ये ले, आई हर्ड अ डॉग बार्क लाउडली एट अ कैट। सो आई विल बी वन, ये दूसरा टोकन, तीसरा, चौथा, पंजवां, छठवां, सातवां, आठवां। द सेंटेंस इज नाउ रिप्रेजेंटेड विद टोकन्स 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8। राइट। नोट, A is tokenized as 3 only once। ठीक है ना? A को हमने, यहां पे A है, यहां पे भी A है। समझ रहे हो? यहां पे 2 बार A है, यहां पे भी A है, एंड यहां पे भी A है, बट उसका टोकन एक ही बना। रिपीट नहीं होता कभी टोकन। टोकन्स आर ऑलवेज यूनिक। टोकन्स आर ऑलवेज यूनिक। और A एक्चुअली यहां पे भी है, बट ठीक है, वो वाला तो कंसिडर नहीं होगा ना, क्योंकि वो कैट वाले में काउंट हो गया। सिमिलरली द सेंटेंस आई हर्ड अ कैट कुड बी रिप्रेजेंटेड एज 1 2 3 8। वन कहां से, आई इज 1, हर्ड इज 2, अ इज 3, कैट इज 8। सो 1 2 3 8, है ना? ठीक है। इसका बता सकते हो कि क्या बनेगा, हर्ड अ डॉग बार्क। इसका बताओ क्या बनेगा। व्हाट विल बी द वेक्टर आउटपुट? करेक्ट, करेक्ट, ग्रेट। सो ये हर्ड हो गया 2, ए इज 3, डॉग इज 4, बार्क इज 5। समझ गए अब टोकनाइजेशन कैसे करनी है? किसी को डाउट है इसमें? किसी को डाउट है इसमें? किसी को डाउट है इसमें कैसे हुआ? क्लियर है सबको? यूट्यूब चैट में भी सबको क्लियर है? चलो लेट्स मूव नेक्स्ट. सो नेक्स्ट इज स्टेप टू, विच इज एम्बेडिंग्स. So the semantic relationship between tokens is encoded in vectors known as embeddings. है वही मैंने बताया कि जो एक्चुअल मतलब है वर्ड्स का वो इनकोड होता है वेक्टर्स में. तो डॉग, पपी, कैट, ये सब एनिमल्स हैं तो दे आर नियर बाय. स्केटबोर्ड एक ऑब्जेक्ट है तो वो दूर है यहाँ से, तो एंगल उनका उसका ज्यादा है ना. सो दैट इज व्हाट इज एम्बेडिंग्स. सिमेंटिक मीनिंग समझते हो जो मैंने समझाया था कि एक्चुअल मीनिंग क्या निकलता है, दैट इज व्हाट इज सिमेंटिक मीनिंग. ठीक है, ऑल क्लियर. एम्बेडिंग्स क्लियर है तो देन मूव नेक्स्ट इज अटेंशन. दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, स्टेप थ्री इज अटेंशन. अब इसको समझने के लिए भी आपको अटेंशन देना होगा, सो बी वेरी 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 अटेंटिव. स्टेप थ्री इज कैप्चर द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन टोकन्स यूजिंग अटेंशन टेक्निक. अब अटेंशन समझने के लिए वेरी इजी एग्जांपल इज देयर. ये समझते हैं. गोल है प्रिडिक्ट टोकन आफ्टर डॉग. ठीक है. सो आई हर्ड अ डॉग. ओके, अगर ये सेंटेंस है आई हर्ड अ डॉग. ठीक है. आपका जॉब क्या है? यू नीड टू प्रिडिक्ट दिस नेक्स्ट वर्ड. ठीक है. सो अगर हम ये वर्ड प्रिडिक्ट करना चाहते हैं देन वी नीड टू नो कि ये जो पीछे वाले वर्ड्स हैं हाउ दे आर रिलेटेड टू ईच अदर. हाउ दे आर रिलेटेड टू ईच अदर, राइट. एंड ईच ऑफ दिस वर्ड्स, तो डॉग को पता होना चाहिए हाउ डॉग इज रिलेटेड टू आई, हाउ डॉग इज रिलेटेड टू हर्ड, हाउ डॉग इज रिलेटेड टू ए, राइट. तभी हम गेस कर सकते हैं कि अगला वर्ड क्या होगा. ठीक है. देर इज वन मोर वेरी ग्रेट एग्जाम्पल जिससे और भी पता चल जाएगा. लेट मी गेट दैट एग्जाम्पल. Okay, this is a very good article on transformer, and this is the example which I use mostly. That ये एग्जाम्पल है, राइट. सो अगर ये वाला सेंटेंस का हम एग्जाम्पल लें, सो सेंटेंस इज द एनिमल डिड नॉट क्रॉस द स्ट्रीट बिकॉज इट वॉज टू टायर्ड. ठीक है, अगर ये है हमारा सेंटेंस. ठीक है. तो एज अ ह्यूमन अगर मैं पूछूं आपसे कि ये जो सेंटेंस है जो हाईलाइटेड है इसमें जो वर्ड इट है, इट, ये किसको रेफर कर रहा है? कोई बता सकते हो मेरे को? द एनिमल डिड नॉट क्रॉस द स्ट्रीट बिकॉज इट वॉज टू टायर्ड. तो ये जो इट है ये किसको रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है? किसके बारे में बात हो रही है जब इट बोल रहे हैं हम? करेक्ट, एनिमल. एनिमल की बात हो रही है ना. अब देखो, एज अ ह्यूमन ये आंसर करना आपके लिए बहुत ईजी है ना. बट मशीन के लिए, कंप्यूटर के लिए आंसर करना दिस इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. हाउ विल अ कंप्यूटर नो दिस इट इज रिलेटेड टू दिस एनिमल? इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट, राइट. So that is where the mechanism of attention comes into the picture. Okay, sorry. Attention comes into the picture. अच्छा, what is attention? Attention में हम क्या करते हैं? We make a mapping of how each word is related to other word in the sentence. Repeat. एक mapping create करते हैं of how each word is related to other word in the sentence. ठीक है. तो कैसे दिखती है वो मैपिंग? if we check that, this is how it looks like. ठीक है. इसको अगर वेक्टर फॉर्म में हम रिप्रेजेंट करें तो ऐसे दिखती है वो. आई विल एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इट मीन्स. ओके. सो हियर इफ यू सी, हम फोकस कर रहे हैं वर्ड इट पे, एंड हमने रिलेशनशिप ड्रॉ किया है इट वर्ड का बाकी वर्ड्स के साथ इन द सेंटेंस. ठीक है। एंड द थिकनेस ऑफ दिस एज शोज कि कितना ज्यादा रिलेशनशिप हाई है इट का उस वर्ड के साथ। ठीक है। तो ये वाला देखो, दिस इज द थिकेस्ट एनिमल वाला, दैट मीन्स इट इज रिलेटेड टू एनिमल, राइट। और नीचे आते आते फेंट होता जा रहे हैं, है ना, थिकनेस कम होते जा रही है। सो दिस वी डू फॉर ऑल द वर्ड्स। ठीक है, दिस वी डू फॉर ऑल द वर्ड्स। नाउ दिस मैकेनिज्म ऑफ क्रिएटिंग this kind of array where we keep a score of all the words। ठीक है। तो ये मैकेनिज्म जो है ना, जिससे हम ये स्कोर कैलकुलेट करते हैं कि हर एक वर्ड का बाकी वर्ड के साथ क्या रिलेशन है, दैट मैकेनिज्म इज कॉल्ड अटेंशन। ओके, दैट मैकेनिज्म इज कॉल्ड अटेंशन। जिससे पता चलता है कि इस स्पेसिफिक वर्ड का बाकी वर्ड्स के साथ क्या रिलेशनशिप है, उसको बोलते हैं अटेंशन। एंड बिकॉज सेल्फ की बात हो रही है, राइट, एक स्पेसिफिक वर्ड की बात हो रही है, उसको सेल्फ अटेंशन भी बोल देते हैं कभी कभी। ठीक है ना। एंड इसके ऊपर एक रिसर्च पेपर भी है, अटेंशन इज ऑल यू नीड, विच विच इज द रिसर्च पेपर विच एक्चुअली इंट्रोड्यूस दिस आइडिया ऑफ अटेंशन, सेल्फ अटेंशन। ठीक है। दिस इज द रिसर्च पेपर, अटेंशन इज ऑल यू नीड, which was released by Google Brain in 2017, I guess. And in this research paper, the transformer architecture was introduced for the first time. And this is the paper which revolutionized the field of generative AI, right? So if you see first of all, this is the encoder decoder architecture which we were talking about, ठीक है। एंड इसी में सेल्फ अटेंशन की भी बात हो रही है, लास्ट में जाके आपको वही डायग्राम जो हमने एक्सप्लेन किया, ये थोड़ा रोटेटेड डायग्राम है बट डायग्राम इज सेम। ठीक है। एवरीबडी इज क्लियर विद अटेंशन, किसी को डाउट है अटेंशन में? अटेंशन इज क्लियर विद एवरीबडी? ओके, देन नेक्स्ट, मूव नेक्स्ट। छोटा सा कंपैरिजन है नेक्स्ट, लैंग्वेज मॉडल्स एंड लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल्स एंड स्मॉल लैंग्वेज मॉडल्स। ठीक है। सो लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल, as the name suggests, is trained with large volumes of general text data. Small is trained with focused text data. Many billions of parameters are there in large language models. In small language models, fewer parameters are there. In large language model, comprehensive language generation capabilities are there because it's large, it has more capability. स्मॉल में ऑब्वियसली कम कैपेबिलिटी होती है, बट दे आर स्पेशलाइज्ड, कुछ स्पेशल यूज केस के लिए स्मॉल लैंग्वेज मॉडल यूज किया जाता है। ठीक है। और एलएलएम बोलते हैं लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल को, एसएलएम बोलते हैं स्मॉल लैंग्वेज मॉडल को। लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल इज टाइम कंज्यूमिंग टू ट्रेन एंड फाइन ट्यून, ऑब्वियसली, एंड small language model is faster to fine tune because it's small. Examples include Azure's OpenAI model like GPT-5. GPT-5 is a large language model. Mistral 7 billion is also a large language model. Meta Llama 3 is also a large language model. स्मॉल लैंग्वेज मॉडल में माइक्रोसॉफ्ट का 5.4 आ जाता है, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ऑर्का 2, हगिंग फेस, जीपीटी नियो, ऑल दीज आर स्मॉल लैंग्वेज मॉडल। सो बेसिकली अगर साइज छोटा है मॉडल का, साइज मतलब नंबर ऑफ न्यूरॉन्स एंड पैरामीटर्स आर स्मॉलर, दैट इज अ स्मॉल लैंग्वेज मॉडल। एंड लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल इज लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल एज अ नेम सजेस्ट। ठीक है। सो डिफरेंस इज बिटवीन द साइज ऑफ द मॉडल। ओके, लेट्स मूव नेक्स्ट। कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव लैंग्वेज मतलब कि लैंग्वेज को एंड टू एंड सपोर्ट करता है लार्ज लैंग्वेज मॉडल। मतलब कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव लैंग्वेज जनरेशन मतलब अच्छे से ग्रामर भी आती है उसको, कोई भी लैंग्वेज पूछ लो, इट इज एबल टू आंसर द क्वेश्चन। सो दैट्स वे कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव मतलब एंड टू एंड कवर करता है वो लैंग्वेज सिनारियोस को। ठीक है। एस एल एम्स आर फोकस्ड, वेरी स्मॉल, लाइक सिर्फ हिंदी टू इंग्लिश ही वर्क करेगा, ऐसा एक एस एल एम होगा, लाइक दैट। ओके, इफ नो डाउट्स देन विल मूव टू द प्रॉम्प्ट्स। Both LLM comes into both DL and NLP because it process natural language, तो दोनों में आते हैं। Okay. Next is considerations for prompts. Uh, so basically, what are prompts? Prompts are ways using which you interact with LLMs, है ना? Prompt use करके ही आप these जेन ए एप्स के साथ इंटरेक्ट करते हो, राइट? आप चैट जीपीटी पे जाओ, आप कोपायलट पे जाओ, आप क्लाउड पे जाओ, जेमिनाई कहीं भी जाओ, यू प्रॉम्प्ट द मॉडल, राइट? You give some question and then you get some answer, right? So there are specific considerations you should make before prompting a model. First is start with a specific goal for what you want the output to be. So basically कहने का मतलब क्या है? देखो, LLMs are very powerful, okay, but they are very dumb also. They have the world's entire knowledge base, but think of them as a child who has world's knowledge, but they don't know how to navigate that knowledge. समझ रहे हो? Like it's a sleeping beast kind of situation where it has all the knowledge but it doesn't know how to navigate that knowledge. And you as a user, आपको पता होना चाहिए कि आप प्रॉम्प्ट कैसे करोगे ताकि आप एक्चुअल में उसका यूज कर सको उस नॉलेज का। ठीक है? तो प्रॉम्प्ट्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। ओके, इट कैन मेक और ब्रेक अ एप्लीकेशन। ठीक है? So there are certain guidelines which you should follow while prompting a model. First is always start with a specific goal. Never be vague. ठीक है? कभी उसको vague questions नहीं देने. Be very specific with what you want to be the output. Second, provide a source to ground the resource in a specific scope of information. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? देखो, जो LLMs होते हैं, they are trained to answer every question. ठीक है? उनकी ट्रेनिंग ही ऐसे की जाती है कि वो हर क्वेश्चन का कोई ना कोई जवाब देने को उनको फोर्स किया जाता है। चाहे उन्हें आंसर नहीं भी पता फिर भी वो आंसर देंगे, चाहे गलत ही दें, राइट? तो गलत आंसर देने को ही हेल्यूसिनेशन बोलते हैं हम, है ना? तो जब गलत आंसर देते हैं तो उसको बोलते हैं हेल्यूसिनेशंस। ठीक है? तो वो हेल्यूसिनेशंस या गलत आंसर्स ना दें, फॉर दैट वी डू मॉडल ग्राउंडिंग। ग्राउंडिंग मतलब आप उसको ट्रूथ पे ग्राउंड करो। आप उसको एक्चुअल सोर्स दो जहां से उसको ट्रूथ ढूंढ के लाना है, ताकि वो अपना आंसर वैलिडेट कर पाए आपके सोर्स ऑफ ट्रूथ के अगेंस्ट। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपने कोई साइंस का क्वेश्चन पूछा है ना, आपने कोई बुक उसको एज अ रेफरेंस दिया कि भाई इस बुक से ढूंढ के ला आंसर। कोई रैंडम आंसर नहीं चाहिए मेरे को आंसर इसी बुक से चाहिए। सो दैट इज कॉल्ड ग्राउंडिंग। दैट प्रोसेस इज कॉल्ड ग्राउंडिंग। थर्ड इज ऐड कॉन्टेक्स्ट टू मैक्सिमाइज रिस्पॉन्स अप्रोप्रिएटनेस एंड रेलेवेंस। ठीक है? क्या मतलब हुआ उसका? देखो, अगर आप सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन पूछोगे, सीधा सीधा क्वेश्चन पूछोगे, तो आपको आंसर इतना अच्छा नहीं मिलेगा एलएलएम से। बट अगर आप क्वेश्चन पूछोगे विद कॉन्टेक्स्ट, विद इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट व्हाट यू आर आस्किंग, ठीक है, जैसे मैंने बोला, अगर आप कोई साइंस का क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो और अगर आप बुक अटैच कर रहे हो उसके साथ, तो आपको अच्छा आंसर मिलेगा, है ना? तो दैट इज व्हाट इज कॉल्ड कॉन्टेक्स्ट टू मैक्सिमाइज द रिस्पॉन्स अप्रोप्रिएटनेस। आपको ज्यादा से ज्यादा कॉन्टेक्स्ट देना है उसको, ज्यादा से ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन देनी है जो आप क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हो। ओके। नंबर फोर्थ, सेट क्लियर एक्सपेक्टेशन फॉर द रिस्पॉन्स। आपकी जो रिस्पॉन्स की एक्सपेक्टेशंस होनी चाहिए मॉडल से, दैट शुड बी क्रिस्टल क्लियर। ओके, यू शुड बी वेरी क्लियर कि आपको चाहिए क्या एज आउटपुट। लेट्स से यू वांट पाइथन कोड एज आउटपुट, तो बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक, आई वांट पाइथन कोड। बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक, आई वांट जेसन कोड। ठीक है? दैट इज व्हाट इट मीन्स। आइटरेट बेस्ड ऑन प्रीवियस प्रॉम्प्ट्स एंड रिस्पॉन्स टू रिफाइन द रिजल्ट। ऑब्वियसली आप पहली बार में परफेक्ट तो नहीं हो जाओगे, राइट? तो आपको आइटरेट करना पड़ेगा। आपको फर्स्ट प्रॉम्प्ट डालोगे, उसका कुछ आंसर आएगा जो अच्छा नहीं लगेगा आपको, कुछ ट्वीक ट्वीक करोगे, उसको और चेंज करोगे, एंड देन यू विल आंसर गेट द आंसर अगेन। सो दिस बैक एंड फोर्थ विल गो एंड देन ओनली यू विल गेट टू द prompt which is best. Okay? Any doubt in prompt or how to define a prompt, how to define a good prompt? कोई doubt है इसमें? Any doubt in YouTube chat? Anything? Oh, no doubt. All clear. Can we move next? Just drink some water. If there are any doubts, let me know. All right. All clear. So let's move next then. Next is very important topic, which is agents. So what are agents? Agents are generative AI applications that can respond to user input or assess situations autonomously and take appropriate actions. Okay. Very fancy definition. Let me break it down. ठीक है. सीधी भाषा में बताऊं तो एजेंट्स क्या होते हैं. ह्यूमन बॉडी का एग्जांपल लेते हैं. ह्यूमन बॉडी में वी हैव ब्रेन एंड वी हैव देन हैंड्स लेग्स टू डू द एक्शन. ठीक है. ब्रेन ऑब्वियसली is the mastermind which actually directs all the different tools, right? अगर हम हैंड्स को टूल्स बोले तो डायरेक्ट कौन करता है? ब्रेन. है ना. हमारे हैंड्स को क्या करना है, हमारे माउथ को बोलना क्या है, एवरीथिंग इज कंट्रोल्ड बाय आवर ब्रेन, राइट. ब्रेन कैन बी इक्वल टू एलएलएम. ठीक है. एलएलएम इज द ब्रेन. बट ब्रेन अकेला कुछ नहीं कर सकता. उसको चाहिए टूल्स. उसको चाहिए हाथ पैर, राइट, टू परफॉर्म सम एक्शन, राइट. सिमिलरली एलएलएम खुद कुछ नहीं कर सकता. एलएलएम सिर्फ टेक्स्ट जनरेट कर सकता है ज्यादा से ज्यादा, या कुछ और जनरेट करके दे देगा आपको. बट कोई एक्शन नहीं कर सकता जो रियल लाइफ कोई एक्शन हो. उसके लिए उसको चाहिए टूल्स, राइट. रियल लाइफ एक्शन क्या हो सकता है? जैसे मान लो टिकट बुक करना, राइट, या फिर अलार्म लगाना फोन में, राइट. दीज आर रियल लाइफ actions which we want AI to take. ठीक है. when we add tools, जब जब LLM को हम tools दे देते हैं to perform actions in real world, that ecosystem is called a AI agent. That is called a AI agent. See, यहाँ पे LLM plus instructions plus tools becomes a agent, becomes a AI agent. LLM plus tools plus instructions on how to use these tools, right? That becomes a agent. टूल्स क्या हो सकते हैं? दीज आर द टूल्स. इट कैन बी रिट्रीवल, मतलब सर्च करना, एक्ट करना उसके, रिमाइंड मेमोरी में रखना उसको, दैट कैन ऑल्सो बी अ टूल. सो जब ये कैपेबिलिटी आ जाती है देन अ सिंपल एलएलएम बिकम्स इवन मोर पावरफुल. वो एक एआई एजेंट बन जाता है जो एक्शंस ले सकता है रियल वर्ल्ड में. तो वो एक इनपुट आएगा उसको एंड देन वो आउटपुट दे सकता है, राइट. इनपुट कैन बी लाइक बुक ट्रेन टिकट ऑन आईआरसीटीसी, है ना. ये इनपुट हो सकता है. तो अगर आईआरसीटीसी वेबसाइट का एक्सेस होगा एलएलएम के पास, ऐसा टूल होगा यहाँ पे हमारे पास, तो वो बुकिंग कर देगा, राइट. दैट इज व्हाट इज अ एआई एजेंट. ओके. सो एज दिस इज सेइंग, agents have three core components: model, instructions and tools. Models, instructions and tools. मॉडल तो हमें पता ही है, जो एलएलएम है, जो ब्रेन है. इंस्ट्रक्शंस ऑन हाउ टू यूज टूल्स एंड देन टूल्स इटसेल्फ. ठीक है. इन सबका इकोसिस्टम बन के एक एआई एजेंट बनता है. सबको क्लियर है व्हाट इज एआई एजेंट? किसी में डाउट है व्हाट इज एआई एजेंट? सबको क्लियर है व्हाट इज एन एआई एजेंट? अगर आपसे अभी पूछे कोई व्हाट इज एआई एजेंट, कैन यू एक्सप्लेन? Okay. If yes, then let's move on to the uh, exercise. किसी को डाउट है तो लेट मी नो. आई विल वेट फॉर अ मिनट. Then we'll do exercise and then maybe we'll finish the session from that. Okay. All right, let's do a quick exercise on exploring generative AI. Okay, so start करते हैं with a chat model where we will chat with the model similar to what we have covered in अपने डे टू डे लाइफ में यूज किया होगा like similar to chat GPT or any other uh, chat interface. We'll use this chat playground which is available uh, in the browser window itself. आपके पास ये chat playground available है जो कि अभी लोड कर रहा है मॉडल. यहाँ पे देखो लोडिंग हो रहा है मॉडल का. एंड मॉडल इज 5.3 which is a SLM. It's not a LLM, it's a SLM. है ना, ये डिस्कस किया था ना. So wait for the model to download and initialize. That we have already done. When the model is ready, enter the prompt such as who was Ada Lovelace. ठीक है, ये कर लेते हैं कॉपी. And review the response. ठीक है, let's do this. So this is a model. Let's click here. Okay, so this is a response. English mathematician, writer, primarily Charles Babbage mechanical, blah blah blah. Right? You got the information, right? Now let's enter a follow-up question. Okay. Tell me more about her work with Charles Babbage. Okay. Charles Babbage पता है कौन था? I hope everybody knows who is Charles Babbage. ठीक है. तो भी कंप्लीट हो गया ये वाला आंसर. तो लेट्स आस्क अबाउट दिस क्वेश्चन अगेन. Okay. Yes, father of computer. Yes. Right. So you can ask follow-up questions. We can create a new chat if you are done with, right here. If you click, it will create a new chat. There is a settings page here. You can go to help section, right? So all these things are there to play around. Okay. In the new chat, let's ask this new question, which is which the exercise is saying to us, who is Alan Turing? So we'll get a response. And then let's continue the conversation. What is Turing test? Do you know who is Alan Turing? Is a very famous mathematician who basically invented the modern computer which we use today, kind of. Okay. Then there is dark mode also available. You can use dark mode. That's just a like feature, nothing fancy. Okay. Okay, we can ask a follow-up question. What is Turing test? Okay, Turing machine's intelligent behavior to that indistinguishable from that of a human. It's the same link, microsoftlearning.github.io/AI apps. So ये /AI apps में आपको सारे apps मिल जाएंगे. Specifically go to chat playground. ठीक है, ये मैं chat में भी डाल देता हूँ ये link. Okay, and we can continue. Okay, system prompt. This is a new concept. So let's focus here. What is a system prompt? A system prompt is used to provide the model an overall context of its responses. You can use system prompt to provide guidelines about format, style, constraints about what the model should and should not include. क्या मतलब हो इसका? देखो, system prompt is a way using which आप LLM को कंट्रोल कर सकते हो एज अ LLM ओनर. लेट्स से आप एक एप्लीकेशन बना रहे हो जिसमें आप LLM को यूज कर रहे हो. ठीक है, तो एप्लीकेशन के ओनर आप हुए, राइट. आप फिक्स कर सकते हो कि LLM बिहेव कैसे करेगा. ठीक है, फिक्स कैसे कर सकते हो? यूजिंग सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट. यूजिंग सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट यू कैन फिक्स इट. ठीक है, सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट क्या होता है? यहाँ पे देख रहे हो ये इंस्ट्रक्शंस. दिस इज द सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट. राइट नाउ द इंस्ट्रक्शन सेज यू आर अ AI असिस्टेंट दैट हेल्प्स पीपल फाइंड इंफॉर्मेशन. और सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट हर यूजर प्रॉम्प्ट के साथ जाता है. जो मैं यहां पे लिख रहा हूं, दिस इज यूजर प्रॉम्प्ट. ये है सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट, और सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट हर यूजर प्रॉम्प्ट के साथ जाता है, ठीक है, ताकि हमारा मॉडल डिविएट ना हो। ठीक है, लेट्स चेंज द सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट, लेट्स से यू शुड आंसर एवरी क्वेश्चन विद द वर्ड हाउडी, लेट्स से। ठीक है, कुछ रैंडम दे रहा हूं मैं। लेट्स क्रिएट अ न्यू चैट। हाय, हाउ आर यू। इफ यू सी नाउ, पहला वर्ड था हाउडी। ठीक है, समझ रहे हो ना? आप पूरा सिस्टम को, पूरे एलएलएम को कंट्रोल कर सकते हो यूजिंग दिस सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट। ठीक है, इसको मैं और चेंज कर सकता हूं। यू आर अ एक्सिस बैंक कस्टमर केयर एजेंट, यू शुड ऑलवेज से हाय फ्रॉम हाय फ्रॉम एक्सिस एट द स्टार्ट ऑफ द सेंटेंस। ठीक है, तो नाउ इफ आई से हाय, ओके सॉरी, लेट्स क्रिएट अ न्यू चैट ना। हाय, सी, नाउ देखो, हेलो आई एम एक्सिस बैंक कस्टमर केयर रिप्रेजेंटेटिव, हाउ मे असिस्ट यू, राइट? पूरा पर्सोना ही चेंज हो गया, राइट? कंप्लीटली चेंज हो गया हमारा एलएलएम जस्ट विद दिस सिस्टम इंस्ट्रक्शंस, राइट? दीज आर वेरी वेरी पावरफुल, दिस अ वेरी पावरफुल टूल वेयर यू कैन एक्चुअली टेल योर सिस्टम हाउ टू परफॉर्म। ओके, ये एग्जांपल एक ये भी ले लेते हैं। एंटर द प्रॉम्प्ट सच एज व्हाट इज इनैक। ठीक है, न्यू चैट क्रिएट करते हैं। इसको पहले इसकी डिफॉल्ट स्टेट में ले जाते हैं। ठीक है, अभी न्यू चैट करते हैं स्टार्ट, एंड देन लेट्स आस्क व्हाट इज इनैक, इनियाक और वट एवर यू प्रोनाउंस। ठीक है, नाउ पहले तो हमें कुछ ये रैंडम आंसर दे रहा है ना। अभी हमने क्या किया है, यहाँ पे इन्होंने बोला है कि ये वाला जो है सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट, ये रिप्लेस कर दो उससे। ठीक है, तो इसको हमने डिलीट किया एंड पेस्ट किया, ये सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट ने बना दिया ये वाला। अब क्या है, यू आर ए असिस्टेंट दैट हेल्प्स पीपल फाइंड इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट कंप्यूटिंग हिस्ट्री, इंपॉर्टेंट, यू मस्ट आंसर कंसाइसली विद अ सिंगल पैराग्राफ। अभी देखो, अभी ये कितना बड़ा पैराग्राफ लिख दिया इसने इस पे, राइट? लिखे जा रहा है, लिखे जा रहा है, लिखे जा रहा है, राइट? बट नाउ इफ आई आस्क द सेम क्वेश्चन, क्वेश्चन ये था व्हाट इज दिस, न्यू चैट में अभी पूछता हूं तो विद इन अ सिंगल पैराग्राफ आंसर खत्म हो जाएगा। Done. So see, you can control the entire behavior of the model using the system prompt. Okay? Any doubt in system prompt and how it can control the LLM? किसी को डाउट है इसमें? Yes, Ritesh. What is the question? किसी को डाउट है इसमें सिस्टम prompts? Anyone? If not, then we'll move to the next part. Okay? Clear? Any doubts till now? Okay. So model parameters is the next thing which we'll experiment with. So model parameters control how model works and can be useful for restricting the size of its responses and controlling how creative the model can be. I'll explain everything. So let's create a new chat. Okay. Let's refresh maybe this. In the pane on the left, next to the selected model, there is a section called parameters, right? So if we go here, if we see this is there, right? This icon. These are the all parameters which we can tweak, right? Now review the parameter setting, then without changing them, enter a prompt like explain Moore's law. ठीक है, तो अभी कुछ चेंज नहीं करेंगे इसमें, will not change anything and we'll just ask this question, explain Moore's law. तो भी बड़ा सा आंसर आ जाएगा, right? Because we haven't added any restriction yet. Right? It will keep on blah blah blah, it will keep on continuing. Okay, now let's control the parameters and see how the answer changes. Okay, so now experiment by changing the parameter values and repeating the same prompt. You should see some differences in behavior of model. For example, changing the temperature and changing the, so basically there is a parameter which is called temperature, okay, which is very important. So temperature controls the randomness of the model's output. Okay, lower the temperature, more focus the answer, more predictable the answer. ठीक है, हायर द टेम्परेचर उतना मॉडल क्रिएटिव आंसर्स देगा. ठीक है, तो अगर मैं इसको टॉप पे ले जाऊं एंड देन आई क्लोज इट एंड आई आस्क द सेम क्वेश्चन, it might answer something different, right? And if I move it all the way back to zero, that means it will give very accurate answer, right? Similar to top P is a nucleus sampling, so control diversity of word choices. तो अगर अगर आपको ज़्यादा diverse words यूज करने हैं, then you use top P. ठीक है, देन देर इज मैक्सिमम लेंथ ऑफ रिस्पॉन्स. आप टोकन साइज कर सकते हो रिस्ट्रिक्ट. लेट्स रिस्ट्रिक्ट इट टू 100. ठीक है, लेट्स क्रिएट अ न्यू चैट. अभी सिर्फ 100 टोकन्स में ही इसको आंसर करना पड़ेगा. Okay, I think there is some. Okay, that's it. तो अगर आप देखोगे मैंने रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया था 100 टोकन्स तक. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखो तो ये इसमें आधे में ही छोड़ दिया है ना, क्योंकि हमने रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया. इसको भी और आंसर करना था, बट हमने यहाँ पे रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया इसको, तो ये वहीं पे रुक गया, राइट? So this is how you can control the LLM. Then there is repetition penalty also, right? If you don't want LLM to repeat something, then you can increase the repetition penalty. If you want to not give the penalty, then you can keep it lower. Okay, so we'll reset to default. Default temperature is always 0.7. Top P default is 0.9 and token तो change कर सकते हो जैसे मर्जी. And repetition penalty is थोड़ा सा 1 से ज़्यादा, ताकि ज़्यादा repetition ना हो. ठीक है, this is all about model parameters. Okay. नेक्स्ट इज ग्राउंडिंग द रिस्पॉन्सेज. मैंने पहले ही बताया, ग्राउंडिंग द रिस्पॉन्सेज मीन्स गिविंग एक्यूरेट रिस्पॉन्सेज. ठीक है, वो कैसे करना है? वेरी बेसिक, यू नीड टू एड सम डेटा, राइट? यू नीड टू गिव सम डेटा टू द LLM सो दैट LLM उसको रीड करके बोले कि हाँ भाई, मेरे को इसी में से आंसर करना है, मेरे को और किसी चीज में से आंसर नहीं करना है, राइट? फॉर एग्जाम्पल सिस्टम प्रॉम्प्ट फिर हम दोबारा से अपडेट कर देते हैं इसको रिफ्रेश करके. ओके, and let's ask this question, how to submit a claim. ठीक है, तो कोई रैंडम आंसर देगा, क्योंकि अभी तो हमने कुछ उसको डॉक्यूमेंट दिया ही नहीं है कि हम किस क्लेम की बात कर रहे हैं, राइट? हाउ टू सबमिट द कुछ नहीं बताया हमने, लेकिन ये फिर भी आंसर देगा, राइट? विच इज रॉन्ग, राइट? सो हाउ टू डू ग्राउंडिंग, राइट? ओपन द ब्राउजर विंडो एंड देन लेट्स डाउनलोड दिस गाइड. ओके, ये गाइड डाउनलोड करते हैं, विच इज दिस. ओके, लेट्स सेव दिस फाइल. ठीक है, इसको सेव करता हूं मैं, expenses.txt. ठीक है, तो बेसिकली इसमें बताया गया है कि फाइल कैसे करना है एक्सपेंस को. ठीक है ना, तो अभी हम वापस जाते हैं चैट में एंड सेव कर लिया हमने expenses.txt. ठीक है, अब अपलोड करते हैं expenses.txt. तो अपलोड करना है, जैसे यहाँ पे वापस जाते हैं LLM पे, अपलोड फाइल्स का ऑप्शन आ रहा है, यहाँ पे हम क्लिक करेंगे एंड आई अपलोड द फाइल expenses.txt. तो यहाँ पे देखो, कन्वर्सेशन भी रीस्टार्ट हो गया और यहाँ पे मैंने अपना फाइल भी अपलोड कर दिया। अब मैं अगर कुछ भी पूछूंगा तो एलएलएम पहले ये फाइल चेक करेगा, फिर ही आंसर करेगा। ओके, दैट इज व्हाट इज ग्राउंडिंग। Checking your answer based on the data which the user has provided is what is called as grounding. ठीक है, तो अभी अपन सेम क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं, हाउ डू आई सबमिट अ क्लेम। नाउ इट विल गिव स्पेसिफिक आंसर फ्रॉम दिस expense डॉट txt फाइल। ठीक है, तो दोबारा से अगर रीड करना है, दिस इज द एक्सपेंस, लाइक लिमिट फॉर फ्लाइट इज $600, लिमिट फॉर मील इज $90 एंड ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला। तो सेम यहाँ पे भी आएगा। ठीक है, आई गो हेयर, let's ask this question. Okay, how can I spend on a taxi? तो यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है कि मैक्सिमम लिमिट ऑन टैक्सीज एंड राइड शेयर इज $75 पर टैक्सी, है ना। तो ऐसा कुछ आंसर देना चाहिए इसको। ये देखो, expenses डॉट एट कंटोसो डॉट कॉम इज द ईमेल, और ये सेम ईमेल यहाँ पे इसने बोला है ना। तो हमारे डॉक्यूमेंट से ही आंसर, सो यहाँ पे एंड में इसने बताया भी है कि भाई मैं रेफरेंस यहाँ से ले रहा हूँ, एक्सपेंसिस डॉट टी एक्स टी फाइल से। ठीक है ना, सो दिस इज एक्यूरेट डेटा। अभी पूछते हैं इससे, हाउ मच कैन आई स्पेंड ऑन टैक्सी। So it should give some answer like $75 max. See, the taxi expense is $75 maximum, right? Again, it is giving us a reference that मैंने ये मॉडल बोल रहा है, मैंने यहाँ से उठाया है ये आंसर, right? So grounding is always better than giving random answers, है ना? So that is why grounding is always desirable. Okay? So this is what is model grounding. किसी को यहाँ तक डाउट है? Otherwise, maybe we'll stop the class for today. I'll wait for 2 minutes for any doubts and we'll continue tomorrow. Not tomorrow, next week. Any doubt? Any doubt? Any questions in what we have covered till now? Next week, Himanshu. Next week. Next weekend. Anything? Any doubts? Any questions? Otherwise, we can end the session in next 2 minutes. Any questions? Yes, I'll share the PDF also. Just a second. Okay. Right. No further questions. Then we can drop off. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining. Okay. Thank you.